what do you think?
Florida.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call sheet going around.
Yeah, it's ready to
Okay, motion to approve the agenda with, we need an addition for the, under Parks and Tourism to discuss the Morton billboard.
One thing I didn't see on the agenda was the letter that was received from Tyson Manker that was brought up.
No, it wouldn't be.
Okay, so then it's sold business because he's asked for us to look into it.
Well, again, we're not the proper agency to look into that. That would
I
be a
think this
complaint.
is the proper place to start because
But
the
it's
Village
not.
of South Jacksonville's name was used in this.
Which anybody can use the Village of South
Okay,
Jacksonville.
well, let's just, we're not gonna have a
Once
debate.
again.
We decided by majority at the last meeting, we would discuss it at this meeting, so
Well-
that's the way it's gonna go. So, because we want our attorney to hear it, we need to do it in the interest of time. And Rob, you have a time limit, correct?
I do.
Okay, so, are you wanting to add that?
Yeah.
And I would like our attorney to hear it.
Well, again, this isn't the proper,
What's the feelings of the rest of the trustees?
again, this is not the proper place to discuss that because we're not the proper agency. We have no authority to investigate citizens for random things.
But
We
it
just
starts,
don't.
it starts,
No, it doesn't. You have a complaint
Okay.
for an election, you start,
You have
go
an
ahead.
attorney over there.
Yeah, you have an
I don't-
attorney,
what-
and why
So
don't
I
you
don't have a
hand
Tyson
out?
Manker letter.
What?
Do you have
You
a
don't
letter?
No, I don't.
There's a new letter too. Hello?
How are you?
What's that?
That's also, they gave me, that Stacy was taking care of, but she
Oh.
didn't follow up on it.
Okay.
Oh,
They gave it to us. This is starting off good.
Do you have copies for all of us, Todd?
Well, I think this would go to the state board of elections.
That's what it said.
okay.
Yeah, and so when you say if Mr. Manker wants an investigation.
You need one?
which
Yes,
he
please.
has the ability to call for.
I'm sorry.
One of the things I think you'd have to think about is
This all.
what would be the reason of spending public funds on an investigation that whatever you come up with, you don't have the authority to do anything about. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, again, I mean, anybody can complain, but I think the response would be to Mr. Manker, hey, you have the ability to forward this to the state board of elections, we can forward it to the state board of elections, but we don't have any ability to, if we found you were 100% right in your concerns, we don't have the ability to do anything about it. That's my thought.
Okay.
And you can tell him that, you can tell him, feel free to forward it yourself.
I think my take on it as a trustee is he was asking trustees to look into it for issues of transparency and what we are going to stand for. So I'm not sure if it's a state board issue. I took it as more of what we wanted to present as a board as acceptable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think you have the ability to enforce, even if you created an ordinance that said people can name organizations, this or that. First of all, I think you'd probably violate the state constitution.
Oh, I don't, and I'll stop you, Rob, because I'm not looking to create anything. Me personally, I'm looking at I think the bigger question is, are we skirting on, hanging on the line of what's proper and what our citizens should expect? I'm not looking to rewrite law or statutes or go to the state board of elections. I'm asking of, I thought the board should have a chance to discuss, do we think this looks shady? Basically, use common language. Does it look shady? And are we okay with that?
It's not a matter of what we think, it's a matter of what the state board of
The-
election thinks.
It is though, because a resident came to us who also happens to be attorney, and he wants our opinion,
But
and
we don't have the authority.
I don't
to
like
give
being
our
shut
opinion.
down by someone that is being, this is about you.
No, it's not.
So-
It's not even my campaign. It has nothing to do with me.
But you endorsed them.
So,
And all the campaign material came from your residents. So
doesn't
why-
matter.
Yeah.
Well, we happen
Okay.
to think it does.
State board of election disagrees with you.
But then don't we end with, okay, so let's say as a group you found that you didn't agree with a campaign, then what do you do about it? You don't have the authority to do anything about it. And I do think this is best dealt with by the state board of elections, whatever they do with it. Because then whether it's time in a committee meeting talking about it, which you have every right to talk about whatever you want to talk about, but,
Apparently not.
well, I mean, we're talking about it right now. And again, I haven't seen these before, but just in the regarding line and in the letter, I mean, this is definitely something the state board.
Well, we were told in our last committee meeting that Harry already contacted the state board and they were fine with it.
No, I said the committee's contacted the state board.
No, you said you did.
No, I said.
And you also said you contacted the Journal Courier because they made a mistake.
No, I said that the Journal Courier did make an error. We made an error with the Journal Courier's typo, yes. All right, moving on. Motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the Mortonville board.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Can you hand me your minutes there? I'll have them thrown in some things.
This one?
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes for Thursday, April 25th, at 6:30 PM.
There's an error on page 3, planning and public facilities. It says, or no, actually old business. It says Jeanette Brown sent an email. It's Jeanette Barlow. And it's Jeannette. She has an odd spelling of her first name, and Barlow, Barlow.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes with that correction.
Second half. Or I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, comments from the floor? Okay. All right, we'll bounce around a little bit here for time. We would like to cover the TIF portion first. Have everybody here?
I've got a whole bunch of information, and not to bore you guys, but here it is if you want to pick it up. Here is a copy of where the TIF district is.
Yeah, I get it.
So I suggest you newbies take one of these with you, but it shows where everything is, if you have any, some
Yeah,
of the
it's
things
very
are,
helpful.
some of the things are out of it, and they were out of it, they were excluded from the original TIF agreement. And
I gave mine to him. Thank you.
I'll take one. Sure. Nice and big.
Yeah, I'll take one too, Dave. I passed mine.
You want one?
I think
Yeah,
I have a
sure,
little
one.
one.
Sure. Yeah.
Get my
So,
orientation.
and the rest of the stuff is pretty much laying over here. You take what you want, what you don't want, that's fine. I have here, this was obtained from Morgan County Courthouse, and this is a direct, first thing, how many people do you think are in the TIF?
Not as many as we think.
How many lots you mean, or
How many lots of
Oh,
property
I thought you
owners?
meant how many are currently taking part.
how many lots or how many are currently taking part in it?
How many lots are there?
Without counting them, I don't know. I bet you.
92.
92.
And again, this information's up here, you feel free to come up and get it. I'm sorry. There you go, dude. We took in $618,000 last year that was appropriated to the TIF account that was being paid back to us, being the village. but it's right there on the last page, how
Yep,
many people
618.
there are, 9,200, 92 participants, and 618,000. So there's that if you want to take that. I have here a blank TIF agreement. Just, and on
Yes.
the last page is what you want.
Did you do all this yourself?
Yes, I did.
I stapled it.
Busy guy.
And this is a
You wanna
blank
have some
TIF
ask
agreement,
He knows.
just to show you what they look at and what can go. Okay, and again, there's plenty of copies up there. This, I went through there and I copied down every tax. And here's the summary of it. This being the taxes for 2017 payable in 2018. And it just shows you who paid what. I'll give you the rest of it here in a second. This is actually copies of, this is all public information. There's nothing here that you can't go on the internet and go to Morgan County and download this stuff. But here's 92 tax bills that show you what it is, and I'll we'll get them all handed out. I'll show it to you real quick. If you look, like on the very first one, where there's one underlined, and it says South Jacksonville TIF. Okay, and on the very first one, there's $1,452.76 that's attributed to the tax TIF. And that's placed into a special account at Morgan County, then they pay us, okay? And then we reimburse back. All right. No problem. I did that one. I did this. Those two there are another deal. Here are I got these from Tiffany. These are the last 2 years of the TIF account to show you where the money has been spent. That it?
Yep.
So it shows you where the money, do you need one too?
You have two different copies of something, or
There's
just
two,
one?
2 years.
I have 517 to 418.
You have 517?
I thought it was all.
No,
I
these are
screwed
2
that up.
years, so which one do you need?
Whatever isn't
518?
517. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay, here's 517, which one do you have, Tom?
I've got them both.
Okay,
I need 517.
you need 517.
I need
Okay.
518.
Okay,
I got 517 in my paper.
there's that one.
Thank you.
I got them.
I
You
need,
got 'em?
I got 517 to,
And you
You
need
need
518.
518.
You need the second one.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, everybody got 'em?
There we go.
Alright. Now, we don't have to look at this tonight.
There's gonna be a test at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, there's a test.
You're
Okay.
the only one that's gonna pass.
Here's the most important document we have here tonight, and this is, Tiffany gave me this, and it's from, Gwen at the, here's what.
She's here.
Okay, I know Gwen. And, is this a true copy of what you gave us? Okay. So, but it shows us briefly saying, we begin the balance of 4/30/19 with 342,000. Estimated tax revenue is 218. Real estate increments of 690,000. We're going to have a total TIF funds available for the year 2020 of $1,032,499.
Let's hope it's more than 1,000.
Huh?
Yeah.
Estimated expenditures, sleep-in will be 14,000. Bartlett will be 205,000. Alfano will be 995. Love's Truck Stop is 29,000. Johnson and Wright, which is a little parking lot over there, is $464.
They bought.
Baymont is 22,000.
It's across from Olive Garden.
Total development, those all total 273,000. 40% surplus to the taxing districts. Now, the only thing I think
That's why
is
it's not.
a little ornery about here is that the 40% surplus to the taxing things, what does that mean?
We have to return 40% of the increment that you get back to the taxing bodies, and that's how we got the additional 12 years.
That's so,
got-
we did
now-
that.
You now have a 35-year TIF instead of the 23-year TIF, because we did
Right,
that
okay,
surplus.
so everybody understand that.
We got an additional 12 years through the legislature.
All right. No problem there.
It's not actually 40% because we net out the Love's increment.
And one other question I had on this, when I went through this, some of these are, like the first parcel was 50%, 52% of the tax went into TIF. 23% on the next one was 1%. And I'm just reading down
Yeah.
through it, but it's not always.
It's not determined by a percentage.
Okay.
So when we established the TIF district, each one of those parcels had a base value established on it. So the increment that goes into your TIF is based on how much that EAV has increased since we put the TIF in. So each parcel is gonna be different because the EAVs are different on every parcel every year. So
Okay.
you have to look at that base value, which shouldn't change, and the current value, and the taxes that are paid on that increase every year are what go into your TIF fund.
Okay. The second one I'm passing out here is a general obligation note, and that's the one that we incurred to go to build the new deal around the school over here. We've already paid the $186,240, which is number one. The second payment coming due will be $85,075, which is mentioned here in this, so it's taken care of. The important thing about this, I think, is that we have approximately $389,000 that will be available to us this year from this current year. Not counting the other $300,000 we have in reserves, but it's going to be $389,000, and that shows you where we're at on this. This also shows you out of 92 people, 92 parcel holders, there's only been 6 that are currently, and we've had other ones in there. And you know if Prairie Power was ever in this, and they've been paid off or what?
And
Okay.
Reichert's as well.
Reichert's
Yeah.
is over here.
Prairie Power had two different agreements, and they've been
Okay.
paid off.
Was one of them the road to nowhere?
No, that was a gift from us.
Oh, the road to nowhere was from us?
Right. So did everybody get this?
I don't remember that name.
All right.
Keep that in your,
It was little.
in your brain.
That
Prairie
300,000
Power, the road
does
to nowhere.
include your current
It's beside Prairie
Okay.
Power.
balance.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Behind.
So
We get
if
it.
you look at this year's increment minus this year's expenses, it's 50-some thousand you'll have left over. And you add that to your beginning balance and you get the
89,000. Okay, no problem. One thing that's not included in here as of yet, but will be in the future. I'm going to estimate there's probably going to be a $50,000 tax for a new building that's being constructed at Prairie Power. And that's a big general warehousing they're having there and all that. I'm estimating, I don't know what it's gonna be, and nobody knows until the tax assessor puts a value on it. But I'm thinking it'll be 50,000 there. There'll be another $50,000 approximately. That'll come from Bartlett. Now I wanna ask you a question too. It'll come from Bartlett because of their new building they're putting up out there. Let's not even go there on that one.
So the next slide.
Every time if you have a Bartlett, let's take Bartlett. When they put up a new building, when does that come into play? When will they want their money back on a tax thing? They currently get 90%.
Yeah. So it takes a couple years because it has to be built and then assessed.
Right.
So if it's being built right now, it'll be assessed for 2020, payable in 21. So you'll get that money in 2021.
Okay, now, that agreement with Bartlett we have now,
Yes,
does it cover that new building?
yes. If it's on the same property, then it'll cover
So they'll
that.
get the 90%.
It'll just help pay down their eligible costs quicker. So if they keep increasing their taxes, they'll get paid off quicker, and maybe they'll get paid off before the TIF ends.
Okay.
And then you guys get it all, you know?
Okay.
So it just depends how quickly they can get paid
In
back.
in the case of Prairie Power,
Mhm.
now they've been paid off.
Mhm.
Will this be a new agreement?
Yeah, if they ask for one. If they don't, then
Absolutely.
you
If
guys
they don't
get it
ask,
all. Or you gotta pay the 40% surplus, but you
Sure,
get to keep the
yeah.
60% if they don't ask for an agreement.
right.
Yeah.
But this is once this thing is done,
Mhm.
then it's a new agreement time. If there's not an existing
Well,
agreement.
ideally, they would have come to you and asked for an agreement before they did the project, right?
Not necessarily so, you know.
It was part of their agreement, yes.
But that's really all I've got, and then
Assuming.
we have some other documentation as to when things are coming. Mr. Patel, you wanna say anything? Where'd he go? There he is, right there.
Thanks.
I don't know where they are. It's just a person.
Yeah, so we started this project and then in 2015 when we first applied with the previous board, and we applied during that time. And I think during that previous time, the city was still negotiating, trying to extend the TIF. So when I think you had the original application to them back in 2015, so at that time they gave us an answer. We don't have concrete numbers for you, what your project is going to be, what its final cost is going to be, and what it's projected to make. And plus, we still have an issue as to if the TIF got extended. So in 2016, when the TIF got extended, and we kind of started our project too. So now we're just saying, from what our initial conversation back in 2015 with the board and how we were applying for the building permit and everything, this conversation regarding the TIF was started from that time. So, and they just kind of, previous board and the kind of decision they gave us is that we're working on extending it so that way we might be able to make the changes necessary for the long term instead of just doing it, if it was just that 2-year period or whatever that was remaining. So that was the kind of decision we felt like, okay, we'll just come back to the city once the building is set up and we have final cost and the city's gotten the TIF extended. So that's after we got built, that's where we're going back and saying, hey, we got everything built, we got the TIF extended, so what can we expect to get back?
And you had real cost. You
Yeah,
had
we
no
had real
estimates.
cost, not real, we had legit contractor prices, architectural drawings, legal fees and everything, like I've forwarded the examples, all those expenses I can forward you, additional ones, paid invoices through the bank and everything that shows what we have spent on the project. It's more than 5 million plus for the whole project at the end of the day. So we're just trying to get something back because that's kind of what our intention was, and that's kind of the conversation we had with the previous board. We didn't get anything in writing, and that's kind of our mistake. But I don't want to think that a small community like this would try to punish us for first-time developers to, no, you did it correct. You should have done it the first time before you started construction. So I don't want to think that you would punish us for not giving us not even 50%. It's 43 after the 43% of the increment. So it's close to 25% of the overall property tax that what Mr. Sample is proposing. So that's, I want to say that's reasonable. And I talked to my father and stuff, and if you don't want to do the entire year, cut the years, but you give us a bigger upfront, because we are not just looking to take the money, we're trying to develop a restaurant in that lot. And I've been working from day one, talking with other city members, seeing what ideas you have for there, and let me get a developer in there, get something over there, so that way it benefits the city. And I know the town is really looking for a good dining restaurant. I know my customers are always asking, what's the new restaurant, and I point them all the way to Morton, go up there instead of staying here in South Jacksonville. So I have intentions of doing a restaurant development there, but do something like this, but they want to see what kind of assistance the city will provide us. So that's what
You have a chain restaurant in mind that you're working with?
we've spoken with a couple of brands, and one of them Chick-fil-A over there in the corner, and the other one was even Burger King actually. One of their scouts came to us regarding Burger King location over there.
No sit-down restaurant per se, would serve breakfast?
Well, sit-down restaurant we haven't been able to find because they want more additional land than the acre we have. But depending on what the other question is regarding that, there's additional 30-foot of land that's east to the city for extension of South Road land. If that was given back potentially to us, then we could expand and give additional 30-foot of land to the developer for the lease option. So that increases the size of the lot and make it more appealing to them. But if the city still has intentions of extending South Road and doing that, then that's not an option.
Have you approached anybody, like say Bob Evans or?
I've looked at we have looked at Bob Evans, Golden Corral. We looked at their models for site plans and everything, and there's just a little bit above an acre a lot, and that's what we have right now, an acre where we can get to them with shared parking lot. That's kind of what we were thinking, like a shared parking lot between the hotel and the restaurant, and that's pushing it depending on like this weekend. Hotel's already packed with Linsfield, but with the restaurants being busy with dine-in, car parking would be something an issue if being already small to what they require. So that additional 30-foot land, if the city's not looking at doing something, then if we can get rid of that easily, then expand our parking lot, make it bigger, but potentially give it more feasibility for a sit-down restaurant. Right now, that's what chains they're looking at right now, and that's who are interested. But I know the city and everyone would prefer something good dining, but at this point, with how the size of the lot, it's difficult to do.
I guess I have a question. What is your name, ma'am?
Gwen,
And you are representing?
the Economic Development Group, we administer your TIF.
Okay, I missed it. I just,
No, I don't think they introduced her.
okay.
No.
So, all right, my question is, he said that we decided that they were gonna hold off on the application until the progress was built. Whose decision was that? Was that yours, or was that best interest of you, your group, or?
No, I mean, according to the information we had at the time, I have a couple emails from Wilbur indicating that the board had decided not to move forward with an agreement, that they were gonna extend some infrastructure because it needed sewer, and the cul-de-sac. And so the village had decided at that time that they were gonna do that infrastructure work and not proceed with an agreement at that time.
And then it got
And then
lost
nothing
it.
happened after that. Now, I didn't really have a clear reason why that was, if it was just because, like he said, you guys were trying to get the TIF extended and you weren't really sure how many years you had left and that sort of thing. Because that all was going on at the same time, and Loves was developing as well, so.
So what I'm grasping from this, it come from the board, obviously nothing was followed up, and then on your part was not followed up before you started your project, correct?
Yeah, so we
So
started.
you went ahead with your project instead of finding out, doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that was from our initial conversation with Robert at the time, and when we applied for the building permit and everything, we did the building permit and the TIF application the same time, for the same board meetings for approval and that.
So there was one filled out, a TIF app,
Yeah,
but it was
back in
held,
That's this one.
That's the last
He
one I
just
gave you.
handed
okay,
one.
oh, I'm
And
sorry, I
see,
didn't.
that
no
was in
problem.
15.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was back in.
Yeah, you underscoped me there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay, I'm trying to get the whole, you know.
yeah.
So were you ever told that the village was going to extend sewer in
No,
place
that
of a
was-
TIF agreement? Or what was
That was never-
communicated to you.
That was not being communicated. That's when she said about that was the first time.
And it doesn't sound like you know either, Gwen, why.
I was not given a reason why.
Okay.
I have a couple emails here from Wilbur, and he was asking me about the sewer line, if it could be paid for by TIF. I had told him that was fine, and then he had said, talking about the cul-de-sac, and the sewer as well, he said the village would like to handle this as a TIF back to the village, not the sleep-in project. So it's not real clear.
Wait, so say that again, because I've been told that that was attributed to the sleep-in. Now, what you're saying sounds like it's attributed to the village using TIF funds.
He's saying the village wanted to pay for it directly. The village would like to handle this as a TIF back to the village, not the sleep-in.
So why would it
that's
be?
telling me they didn't want to give the sleep-in TIF reimbursement, I think. It's not worded real well, but,
Yeah,
so,
it's
and then I had
confusing.
followed up a few times to ask him if we were supposed to be preparing an agreement.
Right.
And I never got an answer, so.
So you didn't have a no or a
No.
yes?
Mm-mm.
Is there any legal reason that the village cannot extend a TIF agreement to the sleep-in?
No,
No legal reason?
no.
And that went about how? Because you explained that last meeting.
Me, you know me or Gwen?
You.
On the sewer?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm refreshed.
Right, there, before we put the extension in, there was no sewer available for their building
Correct.
because of flows and the way it is. Southbrook extended, if it happens, you've gotta have a sewer in it before the street is put in, because it goes right down the center. So, we were doing the Loves Project, Gwen, at the same time.
Yeah, right.
So we said, why don't we go ahead and put this sewer in, add it onto the TIF, we checked with them, they said, yes, like she just said, we can. I don't know, because I don't deal with the TIF, but with what you were saying, about, with what Gwen said, I'm sorry, about the village wanting to do it for them, not for sleeping, I think what they were saying is, let's do this through the TIF, but not make them fill out to do it, just to reimburse it to put it in. Why don't we just do it ourselves, pay for it ourselves out of the TIF? And that's what we did.
Just for future development also.
For, that way they can hook onto it, and
Correct.
then that lot north of these guys also will flow into that as it's developed.
Right.
Well, that's what I was gonna
They were
ask.
cutting
So it's-
out, they were cutting out the middleman, these guys, on that portion of it, to make them do all the paperwork, just to pay for it anyway, and then they would have had to pay for it up front.
So
It wasn't a big project, we just did it and was over with.
this sewer could also then be a
For other-
benefit for some other
Future.
developers, so it isn't just to the sleep-in.
Right, future development of the north lot to these
That's
guys.
the way I understood it
Right.
last time,
Yes.
Right, okay.
when John was.
Yes, I'm just
Discussing
clarifying
that, yeah.
that it's not specific to the sleep-in because it would benefit another
It's for
development
future
as well.
development.
Yeah.
At this point, they're the only ones on it,
Sure.
but it's there for future growth.
Yeah.
But
Gwen,
that-
do you have the date on that email from Wilbur where you asked and you didn't get a response? I'm just curious. Because,
Oh, I don't have all my emails here. I
Okay.
can look, when I get back in my office, I can look.
the way it's been presented to us is that Mr. Patel is possibly coming back after the fact, but it doesn't sound to me like it was ever finished.
As far as his costs go, I don't think I ever got a definitive answer,
Okay,
if you guys wanted to reimburse those or not.
okay. So it's just been hanging.
Yeah.
So is it fair, do you understand what they, some were saying it's retroactive, he's built, now he's asking.
Well, I
What
don't
I'm
think he's
seeing is,
asking you to go backwards, he's asking you to go from here forward, is what he just said.
Yeah.
So you would start paying him this year and
exactly,
forward.
right,
And
so.
his increment has just now started coming in.
So the only retroactive would be if he was asking to go back to 15,
Right, but there
which
was no
he.
increment back
No,
then.
yeah, you
There was no
can't,
money in it.
exactly, so there was no money there. So really, is there anything retroactive?
Just the fact that he did the project first and then came and said, I didn't get an agreement. But, he did apply for it before doing the project and just didn't have an agreement, so.
So in your mind, did he follow proper steps?
I think he did, but, for whatever reason, the agreement just was never done.
Mhm.
maybe he could have been a little bit more diligent about saying, you know, hey, I really need this agreement to do this project. You know, why don't I have it? But, you know, he did submit the application before he did the project.
Right, and when I hear those things, I think that's the village's fault. I think we could do a better job of it. I'm not saying that developers don't have a say and don't have a responsibility, but I don't think it should be this hard. You know, I think it should be pretty clear when someone wants to come to your village and build, we should say, this is exactly what you need to do.
Right.
So I fault us, I don't know who was at the, and it doesn't matter now, but.
I agree with that, but I think it's on both because.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying both, but I think we need to take our
If I was developing
responsibility.
something, I'm gonna have my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And if they ain't following
Agreed.
up, then there's gonna be, you know, so.
Agreed.
I think it's both ways.
But they have every legal right for those TIF funds from here on out, correct?
It's not, they're not entitled to it, but the village, there's nothing stopping you from doing an agreement.
Okay.
It's not illegal.
No,
Okay.
oh, no.
I want to add to Gwen, since I've been here 3 years, I want to make it very clear that this sleep-in thing was never left hanging out there. Since I've been here, have you ever said to me this is still hanging out there?
No, it was more
It was
conversations between Wilbur and I,
Yeah, it
and
was-
I think we thought that it was done, because
Yes.
we
like,
never got any
had-
response, so
Right.
we just put the file away and didn't
And that's
think it
what
was
we
gonna
were all,
happen.
and that's the information that you were given from me, knowing that there was no agreement, there was nothing
Right.
hanging out there because there was just no agreement.
Right.
So I want to make sure everybody really understands that.
No, and it could have even been a phone conversation, so I don't have it in writing, but I believe I was told, no, we're just gonna do the infrastructure work and we're not gonna proceed with an agreement. But it very well could have been on the phone that he told me that, and I just don't have it down.
And is it,
That was the impression we were under.
is it common practice for a municipality to, if they're going to attribute something, a project to a business in TIF, is it normal procedure that they don't inform the business that they're giving them something through TIF? I mean, that seems like we dropped the ball on that. If in fact sewer was given to the sleep-in through TIF, why is Mr. Patel unaware of that? You know, where's the
Oh, I think
documentation?
he's aware of it, because Wilbur, in the emails I have, Wilbur was discussing it with him when he applied for the building permit.
Okay, I know that the city was building it, but that was he did not mention anything regarding, they were gonna use the TIF money for the sleep-in to build that. That was never discussed, because he never conveyed that to me, I'll make that clear. When you said that the city was gonna use the TIF to build that sewer, that's not what.
It was their existing TIF funds, it wasn't anything generated by your
Yeah,
project.
so that, I wanna make that clear. And then the other thing, the source, the lot location, the city provides sewer to everyone there at the site. It's not just us. Now, if someone else came into the north lot, the city would go around and build them the utilities that they would need. So we had to pay for Ameren to come in and do it, because they are one who provided power over there. So we ended up paying for that, and that was not what our original project cost was. That was another $15,000 that we had to come up extra. That's when we started construction, because originally we thought Illinois Co-op was the one providing the electricity, and then their junction box was right between us and the comfort. We thought we could just hook up to that and that'd be easy. But no, we had extended from south, on the other side of south, where Southbrook is, running across the Main Street, and then onto our lot and down behind our building. So there was considerable cost that we had to do after that, because there was some issues regarding that. So
He's right on that. They sit on the border
Okay,
from the south corner of their lot. South is Illinois rural, and that's the dividing line. And from their
Really?
lot
Right.
north
Okay.
is Ameren.
Okay.
And you can't cross.
okay.
To follow up on that though, that's something, what he's saying though, is the developer normally would pay those extensions and those hookups. So when we're paying for the sewer extension, it doesn't matter if we're paying it out of TIF or we're paying it out of general fund. The fact that we're paying for it is a benefit for that developer, either this developer or a different one. The fact that we're paying for, yes, we provide sewer, But
So,
for a
but
new
the-
develop, hold on, it's like for a new developer, the developer normally would pay for that. So if we're paying for that, that is a hookup. And again, it does benefit other places, but if, I don't know if you are all familiar with the, it was Baymont at the time, was the first hotel that came to.
Holiday Inn.
Econo-
No, that was
Econo Lodge.
Econo Lodge. They
Yeah.
paid
Oh, okay.
for a whole bunch of water and sewer coming down Main Street, which opened up all kinds of development, opened it up for Bartlett and everything. But that was a TIF reimbursement for them. That's something that the village worked out with them, previous administrations. So again, that's,
Loves did all of their infrastructure work. And
what's that now?
Loves did all of their infrastructure work, and
Yeah.
now you guys are reimbursing that. And that's a benefit of TIF, is that you can have the developer do those things and then just pay them back through the increment.
But I also want to follow up on what you had asked is, with the village dropping the ball, what I want to ask Gwen here is normally, wouldn't the normal procedure be if somebody's coming in and building a $2 million project, isn't it more on the business to say, hey, do we
I mean,
have?
if I knew that tax bill was coming in the mail, I would wanna know that I have, an agreement to get some of it back. But, yeah, I don't know.
So I'd sent you some questions beforehand. Do you
Uh-huh.
have answers for those or?
Sure.
Okay.
I discussed, you want me to read them? Or
That'd be great if you want to, or I mean, I don't know if they were worded great, so that's up to you. I mean, they're just kind of
I
general
went over
questions.
these with her client, who is the owner of our company. He's an attorney. So Harry asked, does the village have an obligation to pay out to every project in the TIF? And Herb said no. Does the village face any liability if they choose not to pay out on any particular project? No, as long as there's not a discriminatory reason. If a project can and is moving forward without TIF assistance, wouldn't it be improper to give TIF assistance to such a project? Legally, it's okay, whether proper or not is a council decision. Council has to decide priorities. Some cities approve retro and some don't. Is there a liability with awarding retroactive agreements? No, as long as the costs don't predate the TIF establishment.
And I guess a follow-up question on that is, another concern I have too is, when we're working out a percentage, my idea of it is when you negotiate that percentage is when the business is coming in and wanting to develop, it matters on what the business is, what kind of revenue it's gonna bring into the municipality.
And they should kind of have an idea of, what, if there's a gap there that they need to fill or something like that.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So then we work out that percentage. If they're already built and they're already operational, it's like, I don't know where to start. I wouldn't know, so.
Well, I was on the board when Love's was, when they were building, and I gotta tell you, I never heard a word about that agreement until it came to the board and we were told to okay it. So, I don't know, in a perfect world, it'd be great if we could hear it from the beginning, but I was here in the beginning and I didn't hear anything about it. And so, my experience as a board member, and it was a different administration then and a different makeup of the board, I think I'm the only one left from there, because a lot of retirements, I knew nothing about that agreement, and it was huge. And apparently I'm learning afterwards, if we gave Sleep In a sewer, we gave Love's a huge financial incentive to come, if I'm correct. So the makeup can look different, the way I'm seeing it, for any project. So if we gave them the sewer and it was attributed to them, then we gave them the sewer. But we also gave a lot of money to Love's, and I'm assuming it was because Love's is a huge project. But again, I was not privy to that conversation, even though I was a trustee. So now I am. And so I'm thinking, it's not apples and oranges. It does look slightly different, but the bottom line is, what do we want as a board to do with our TIF? And how do we want to treat the businesses?
Right.
And if I haven't been privy to how much money's been in it, this is the first time I've seen any of this. And I thank Dick for bringing it to me, because how am I supposed to make some kind of comprehensive plan for TIF and what I have envisioned if I don't know what I'm talking about? And I'm not saying you haven't informed us or that Tiffany doesn't know, because I ask her questions. But I think as board members, we need to have a working knowledge.
Yeah.
And do we reserve some money for us? For the village?
Right.
And then what do we want to do for businesses?
Yeah.
One thing I do want to touch on though, I don't want to compare the cost of the businesses, and I'm not sure if that's what you were saying.
No, I'm just saying they all look different. And so I think because, and maybe my perception of what I've been told in the past is wrong, but I'm interpreting that I've been told that because sleep in is attributed to that sewer, that now they should get nothing. We've given it to them, it's done, it's over. I'm still seeing a 2015 application. And I mean, I am not right in my mind to think that a sewer is all that sleep in should have. And that's why I voted as such.
Well, I think, just to step back for a second, what I finished my thought there.
Sure.
And you may be understand, but I just want to make sure I say it out loud, is that like comparing Love's with Sleep In, or with any hotel or whatnot.
Bartlett.
Bartlett,
Yeah.
exactly, with Bartlett, because I want to look at the revenue it's going to bring back into the village.
Sure, sure.
I'm not saying that the hotel's not bringing back in revenue in the village. I'm not saying that at all.
No, that's
But-
huge.
But with any business, that's
Yeah.
what I would look at when I'm looking at the incentive we want to give them.
Sure.
But with this particular package, what I'm looking at is, yes, we built the sewer, but then they continued to go ahead and they built the project without the TIF assistance. To me, that would tell me that project is going forward without the TIF assistance.
No.
But, well, hold on. That would tell me that developer is coming in their building. And so what I would want to see is they come in before their building and say, we need this abatement before we build, because I'm not gonna sink in $2 million of my own money before I see what I'm gonna get back. So.
Sure, I mean, that would have been perfect, but like I said, we weren't privy. And, I mean, Tiffany even showed me a payable that I signed for Sleep In. It says TIF, and it says sewer, I don't know the wording, but it says something about sewer and Sleep In, and I said to Tiffany, when was it? I think it was 16, 15 or
So,
16.
April 16.
And I said, well, shame on me, I signed this, and I had no idea what I was signing, because I was never informed about TIF. But I was glad to see that. But now Gwen is saying she's got an email that says it was attributed to the village, not Sleep In, right?
My thought on that from the other emails that Gwen sent was that the village preferred to pay the developer directly rather than reimburse Sleep In. Isn't that how you?
Right, the village
Is that
wanted
what
to
you're
pay
saying?
for it directly out of their existing TIF funds instead of have Sleep In do the work and reimburse
And
Sleep
do
In
it,
for the
right,
work.
instead of an agreement.
Right.
That's what, and that's my participation, because I wasn't here then.
Which we can do that if it's like on public property. If it was something on the private property, like the parking lot, they would have to do it first,
Yeah.
and then we reimburse
We
them.
can't
So-
reimburse for
Yeah.
concrete on
We need
private
to
property, so.
Yeah.
But. you
Well,
know,
that's it. I mean,
dirt work
yeah,
is-
just
The
like
dirt
you
work,
just
that's-
said.
yes.
We don't
I
need
mean,
to keep
we
talking
need
about
to
the
move
sewer.
past the sewer. I mean, everybody understands that we
They
paid
got
for
the
it,
sewer,
Yes.
and
yeah.
they didn't have to do it.
I do wanna point out, you guys did give Love's a lot of money. Our attorneys worked directly with Love's attorneys on that agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And Wilbur was very involved, and at that time, we were told, to communicate everything through Wilbur. So, if he wasn't sharing things with you, we were not aware of that.
Oh, yeah, I have no complaints
but-
about you at all. I mean, that's
I
not
mean-
your deal to tell trustees.
You guys
Yeah.
pay us to do a lot of things
Yeah.
for you, and any of you can contact us at any time for any of this information that he handed out. We have all of it, you know what I mean? We look at every parcel every year and all of that too. So feel free to contact me anytime, any of you, if you have questions. But Love's had a lot of infrastructure to do.
Sure.
And that's all you're reimbursing them for.
Mhm.
They aren't getting reimbursed for their land acquisition, their site preparation, none of those costs. So.
But they
it
were
is-
eligible
If you're
for
trying
it.
to compare the two, then.
But they were eligible
it was-
for it, right?
It's an eligible cost under the TIF Act, correct? But we were told at the time, we only want to reimburse infrastructure for these two projects.
Okay.
And I probably shouldn't have said I was comparing the two. My point was, every deal looks different.
Yeah, every agreement is
That's
always gonna be.
what I'm
different.
trying to say.
And that's why our
So-
attorneys can prepare each agreement separately for you
Yes.
guys and tailor it to that project.
So really all I need to know is and you answered it early on in this, just because they got the sewer, they being Sleep In, there's nothing illegal or nothing wrong with the village entering into a TIF agreement, because that was not a TIF agreement.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, that's all I need to know.
yes.
2 more questions.
Thank you.
You have under the estimated expenditures, first one is sleep in, so he is included.
Tiffany asked me to include it.
That's
just in
fine,
case you
but
guys
he
do
is
an
included
agreement,
in there.
then we wanted to have that netted out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then the village share of surplus funds, what is that?
So when you pay that surplus to the county, they distribute it to all the taxing districts according to your tax rates, and the village is one of those taxing districts,
So we get
you
32,000
get part of that
back.
surplus
That-
back.
that's what I
It
thought
can
it
go into your general fund if you want it to, or it can go back into your TIF fund.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
what,
just showing you what that dollar amount is,
that's what I
that
thought.
you will
Yeah.
get that money back
Okay.
from the surplus.
I guess I just wanna voice my opinion on what all this is. Obviously, there was faulty on both sides, is the way I see it. Anybody can tell me I'm wrong if they think
No, I
different.
agree with you.
We profit revenue off of his business, okay? So, I don't think it's, I mean, I kind of feel it that it's, you know, there's certain heads that we don't have to give them a dime. And I think that's bad for the village. Because whether there was faulty on his part, the village's part, or whatever, whoever comes out and wants to build next, and they find out about this, and they ain't gonna build here. Because I go through this shit all the time of, well, we're waiting on plans, we're waiting on this, but we gotta start doing something. So then, are you telling me as soon as he stuck the first shovel in the ground that, oh, he's building, so we don't have to give him nothing? I mean, I don't agree with that. You know, I mean, yeah, he's faulty, the village is faulty, and I think he understands that there is a possibility that you can get nothing because of your faulty.
Yeah, like, so the other project I have working right now, we've gotten an ironclad TIF agreement because I learned from this project. I got another project, it's a dairy queen.
Well, and that's for the future,
So
and
I learned from it.
it's,
I'm not making
it's
that
for you to
mistake.
do your due diligence on the next project that you follow up with what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so,
But-
but
I don't think it's good for the village to not do anything for the man that, you know, that brings revenue to our village. I mean, I'm not fine with that.
And the other thing, when the mayor says like, we shouldn't have to give you a tip, but like, the only reason why you're getting that extra money is because we built the project, and then you're not paying us, you're paying from what we're paying the
Yes,
county.
right.
So
We
it's
understand
just
that.
something that's coming from us essentially. If we pay property tax, it comes to the county to the city, and then the city to us. But if you're saying that, hey, and we should have done this beforehand, yes, we should have gotten that agreement beforehand, but it wouldn't haven't taken effect until we're actually open and we've started paying property tax.
Right.
So because after the property tax is paid, that's when it's actually
Yes.
comes around to back.
And we understand that, right, right.
So having a previous agreement is, yes, fair, but like not having it beforehand, I don't see a big deal not able to do it now, because it's still gonna be coming back here. Now, if I was, I'm not saying because that's the only project, we have extra land to do additional projects. I've been in Jacksonville area for 20 years. Since 2000, my family has moved into Jacksonville. We have been here 19 years, so we have plans to stay. We're not just here for one time. Like, look, they're a big corporation, they're just looking for a fuel for their truck stops and move on. They're not looking to help the city out. Okay, so we're looking to do more here.
Well, the reason I say that is, and nothing against you, but in the last meeting, it was said, well, and I'm sure it's on record or whatever, you know, I'm new to this, whatever, so I'm sure it's on there.
Oh,
that
it is.
What's he gonna do? Pick up his building and leave if we don't give him anything? Nothing against you, but it was said, and that's bullshit. Excuse my language. That's not, I mean, I don't like to hear that. I mean, that's terrible to think that, you know, these businesses are bringing to our village, and then that's what our board thinks. That's terrible.
You know, we should be catering to them.
I mean, so
I think there's a certain amount of personal responsibility people should shoulder.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's part of it. That's a big part of it. And I personally don't think that the village should be any kind of liability or anything for not saying something. I would be all over finding information out. Am I gonna get this money? Where's this agreement going? We need to get this figured out.
And I just explained all that. He knows that. He agreed.
I know.
Yeah.
So why reward making a mistake with?
We're not rewarding anything. I mean, he's bringing business to our village. It's not like
It's the right thing to do.
It's not like he put a sign out there and we're not getting anything off of it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's mistakes on both sides. So the right thing to do, in my opinion, like I said, anybody can voice their own opinion. You got to do something because it's bringing revenue to our village. So, I mean, like I said, it's faults on both sides. Now, if the project was done in 15 and now it's 19, and he's coming and saying, "Hey, was there TIF money that I could get?" Well, you know what? You know what I mean? That's a little different. But there's faulty on both sides, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he did. He came and he tried to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was whatever circumstances, he didn't do his due diligence. Obviously, the village didn't follow up on who said who knows what was said. But for the village not to give this man a dime when we're, creating revenue for the village, that's not right to me. And that's my opinion.
I think it's time to move on and get past this.
I
I think
mean,
everybody in here has been
Attorney
mistakes
Rob,
made.
what do we need to do about
Yes, before you leave.
Jim's veto on this? Tell us what we're
Yeah,
with.
so you had a vote last time, he vetoed it, which he had to do within 5 days, so that you have the ability to override the veto with a 2/3 vote, so it should go on next week's agenda. You'll have the chance to re-vote on it, you just have to have 2/3 of the council vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got any opinion you want to give since, it was
No.
veto,
My objection was in the writing, you guys all have it. so
I understand.
that's-
This is what this board, get it
No,
out
that's-
on the table, so.
My biggest concern, and that's been my concern the whole time, was that my belief is that the deal should be negotiated beforehand, and since it's already open, that's my objection. That's-
What is your fault on, or what is your feeling on whether there was any faulty on the village, on the board?
I
Do you
don't,
think there was?
no.
Okay.
No, I don't. I think the project itself took about 2.5 years before they actually broke ground and started building, and it was a very lengthy project.
Well, how much was the board informed? If they
I was
weren't
gonna
informed
say,
about the loves,
I'm
they
the
were-
only one that was on the board
Then-
then, and I can tell you
Were they-
that I take fault. Because I didn't know anything about the sleep-in TIF project, because nobody informed me. And it's nobody, you weren't in that position then.
But again, we have a whole new,
I wondered, Glenn, actually, you may be able to answer this, how those deals were even negotiated. Did any of them go to the board, or did the mayor?
I don't know. I
negotiate
mean,
them out?
we
You know what I
just-
mean, like, they may have never
We
gone to
communicate with
board.
the person at the village we're told to communicate with and just
Right.
assume that they'll take it to the board at the meeting.
Right, no, yeah, that's
And
not your
that's what we tell
job.
them to do,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not
here's a
their job.
projection, or here's
Yeah.
here's the application we received, and here's a projection. We assume that they'll take that to the next board
Yeah.
meeting and say, hey, we have this proposal, what do you guys wanna do?
Did
And
I
that's
do
the-
that?
I
And
did.
you did that. This is the first time we've done it, and I feel informed, and now I can vote. But I didn't know before, but my signature's on something saying I knew it and I didn't, and that's my fault. I take responsibility for that, whether I was new or not. I should have asked, where's this info? Well, now we got it.
well, now we all have it.
Yeah.
Next week, it'll be back on the agenda, we can re-vote it, and no matter what the vote is, we can all say, nobody can say we weren't informed.
Exactly. And
So-
so then, Rob, what happens if the vote passes again?
That's it,
Then it's,
That's
that's it, it's done.
all right.
I think we've all learned something here. As long as
yeah.
this board that we have here in this room remains intact, we'll be able to do our due diligence next time an issue like this comes up.
I think so too.
And I think we just need to move on and do the vote next week.
But for your own information, pick up that stuff over there if you didn't get it, cause it's there, guys.
Now, do we have anything else? We're moving on from the TIF then.
I would like to say one thing. I just want to clarify that the Wednesday before our last meeting, I was talking to Paula, and I did say to her, I don't know if it was a text or on the phone, said to her that I would have voted yes for a lower number.
Yeah, I think I remember you
If
saying
everybody made mistakes, I would have voted yes for a lower number so that it wouldn't seem anti-business.
that. You did say that, yes.
So I want to make that clear
You
for the
did.
record.
I know more tonight than I knew, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
so, you know.
Mhm.
And obviously, this helps tremendously, obviously, also, so.
I specifically stayed up all night just to get that.
Good for
in.
you.
I love it. I would rather had a slideshow,
You
but
should have called me, I could have helped you with some of that.
Do we have anything else on the agenda for either of our, for Rob or Gwen while they're here?
Do you guys want anything from me? Anybody? You want my card? You want?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would like your card.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
But Gwen, do you charge by the email or the call,
do
like
not.
our attorney
You
does?
pay us a flat fee, flat fee.
Because I will not contact you if it costs the
No,
village.
we're not hourly.
Okay. We don't want a big bill coming where we've all contacted you.
I don't know how many you guys want.
Gwen, I
Yes.
had you pictured being an old 90-year-old woman just being.
Is that an extra one?
nope, that goes to her.
Oh, yeah, hang on.
Surprised.
I think I have one.
I'm getting up there.
Gwen,
You
hang on.
got a
I'll
long
give
way
you
to go
one.
for a night.
Can I have, yeah, can I have?
Did you get one? Here's one.
I have to have one if I gave you one, so.
Well,
That's
here.
the deal.
I
Gwen,
have,
this is my teaching,
okay.
the school district I work for.
I
Okay,
have
I don't have
information
business
about our
card.
companies,
okay.
and on the back is really the most important, everything, all the services we provide to you guys, you know, for the new trustees,
Thank you.
just so you understand everything that we do, and
You need one?
feel free to contact me whenever.
We need more over here.
Okay.
And did you get another card? Do you have another card?
No, I just got one.
I do have a couple more.
Okay, I'd love to have one. Do you have one?
Yes, I got one.
Okay.
I need a book.
3-hour meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
And these are updated if
Thank you,
want.
Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
I
You're up.
updated these today.
Okay.
That's updated.
Okay.
New numbers. And then, I don't know if this would be helpful. I ran it out for the life of the tip,
Okay.
all the
Oh,
increment.
of course that would be helpful.
So it's
Thank you.
basically that ran out for every year through the life of the tip.
That would
Okay.
be very helpful.
And it doesn't have all that, all those new things that Dick was talking about.
I know.
Well, those are coming as soon as they get on the tax roll. you know,
Right, so this would be from this year forward,
Okay.
based on what's built now.
That would be great. I know.
All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and feel free, like I said, contact me with any questions, anytime.
Well, Tiffany's always very helpful. I don't mean it to sound like she's not. It was,
Did everyone get one?
yeah, thanks.
Who'd you say you were skipping to? So I could-
What's the next thing on the agenda?
We're gonna
President?
jump to the, under finance, we're gaming license,
Okay.
and that's gonna be, oh, there you go. Different Mr. Patel. He is asking, well, go ahead. Hold on just a second, I'm gonna shut this door.
Hold on, just a second, before he shuts the door. So we can hear you better.
There we go.
I'm going to purchase the Zodiac and I want to turn that into the liquor store with a gaming parlor.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm trying to purchase the Zodiac and I want to turn that into the liquor store
Oh, I see.
with the parlor.
So, to go over this with the new trustees, what we did, gosh, about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
we changed up our liquor license and our gaming license, and what we did is we created it sounds confusing, I'm gonna get tongue-tied every time I say it. We have a gaming parlor liquor license. And then the gaming licenses themselves are also divided up into gaming parlor, truck stops, hotels, restaurants, and taverns. And the reason we did that is that way we can regulate how many of each kind of those that we have. That way we could have 10 hotels, 5 restaurants, 3 bars, and just no gaming parlors if that's what we want. I'm saying we can. And at the time we did cap the number of gaming parlors to the current number, which is now, well, it was 3 then, and we added 1 more because it gets a little confusing. The 2 gas stations there, FS and not Quick and
Circle
Easy.
K.
Circle K. Because Quick and Easy and Love's both fall under the truck stop. Circle K was, they were issued a,
Thank you, Glenn.
they were issued a Class A, which is a tavern license by the previous administration. Didn't like that. We don't want a gas station to have what we call a pour license, you know. We don't want people walking around the gas station drinking beer.
Sure.
So we talked to them, they agreed, switch over to the new gaming parlor liquor license. So they actually have 2 separate liquor licenses. They have package liquor license for the gas station, then they have a whole separate license. They have a gaming parlor liquor license for their gaming room. And across the street, they asked for the same thing, because they'd already applied before we drafted the new ordinance, so we went ahead and granted them one as well. So there's those 2, and then Maximilian's and Diamond Jeans. So those are the 4 gaming parlor licenses. So that's not as clear as mud. So what he's asking, correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to do away with Zodiac as a bar and just make it into a gaming parlor that would also have packaged liquor.
The Zodiac?
Zodiac, yes.
It's gonna be a packaged liquor too.
Yes,
Like a full packaged liquor. Like it's not like just a few things here.
Right.
It's just gonna be.
So not a bar anymore.
Dick. Oh, I'm sorry.
What,
You got it.
you know,
Okay.
I'm just curious, why wouldn't you want to continue running a bar and packaged liquor and a,
I don't have any bar experience, so
okay.
I never done the bar, so.
And add to that too, with like a bar license, it would be a Class A tavern license. You can't have a Class A tavern license, but you could open up the Zodiac as, he could buy it, get his Class A license, which would get issued, then we wouldn't have, because right now what he's asking the board is if they will add another gaming parlor license. Because there are liquor licenses available, the Class A tavern license. So he could buy it, he could open it up as a tavern, and then just run the gaming. But you have to have your Class A has to be your primary business, has to be the tavern. Class B, your primary business has to be either the restaurant or the lodging, whichever one it falls under. So if you're making most of your revenue from the gaming, which your gaming parlors usually are, you'd end up getting their license revoked. So doesn't want that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen.
But my understanding has been a liquor license and a gaming license has to go hand in hand.
Yes, but we also have a gaming parlor liquor license, which is separate from the gaming license.
Can you stop saying, what does he own? What is?
So
He's
Yeah.
looking at
Zodiac.
purchasing the Zodiac.
He does not own it currently.
Currently, he does
And
not.
what's his name? Patel, but what's
Bobby.
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 So the Zodiac currently has the liquor license,
Yes.
and they have 5 machines.
They have the Class A, which means
The
their
Class A.
primary source of revenue has to be from the pour license.
Right, so we're just switching, basically,
Right.
because you gotta switch, they're not gonna pour anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
although, yeah, okay,
These 2 gentlemen, here's my understanding, are brothers and they're the current owners
Yeah.
of the Zodiac.
yes.
So what license what license is he wanting?
It would want us to create another gaming parlor
Be a
license.
C, correct?
No, it's the newest one. It's even on this one.
INH or C?
There's
Oh,
I and H then, because
It's the
Diamond
H.
Jeans, it's just the H.
Oh, it's the H, okay.
I think, or is it the I?
Because Diamond Jeans has I
Well,
and
Max-
H.
H is the Sunday, sorry, so it's the, I
C,
do
it's
believe.
either the C or the INH.
Maximilians and Diamond
It's one of
Jeans
the
both
three.
have I and H.
We need to make a list of what those mean.
H is Sunday, so the I is the gaming parlor liquor license.
You
So
wouldn't
it's
be
I.
open on Sundays?
Yes, every day.
Yeah, you'd have to get the H in, which, go ahead.
This whole
And I have a
idea
question
is
about that.
because-
We don't mimic, so so the city does Sunday, you can buy beer at any time. South Jacksonville doesn't do that, you have to wait till past noon.
That, we're gonna
right?
talk about
Okay,
that
'cause
too.
that I'm confused on too. Not that I tried to buy beer.
But we limited the gaming parlors because we didn't want a bunch of gaming parlors to come in.
Correct.
Yeah, but this is a different, and that's what we wanted. We want to be able to look at them individually and decide,
yes.
yeah.
Because this is whole idea is South Jacksonville don't have any liquor store here.
Right, oh, no,
That's the reason
I'm
I just come
thrilled
out
to
and
hear
design
that.
this, and, that's the reason I just bring it up.
Yeah.
Well, you can buy small bottles of liquor at the
Right.
Circle K.
This is gonna be like more varieties, like,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
But I have to admit, when I
Wine
want
and
more,
everything, like,
I
you
go to a liquor.
You're basically, right, you're basically talking like the party store on
Party,
Morton
yeah.
or,
I want the north side wine and spirit on the
Right,
Jacksonville.
yeah.
So, you know.
So basically, we'd be talking about switching, but the gaming parlors, we had concern, it seemed like a lot were coming to the board. And we wanted to be careful about what we want the village to look like.
We had another one on the agenda tonight too, but they ended up finding another location. But that company puts in a lot, so I foresee them coming back and asking again. We've had a lot of requests.
We all agreed on a cap the last meeting, didn't we?
Right, so there's no more, we would have to create a new license.
But you're going to lose you're going to substitute.
Yeah, you're switching out
yeah,
basically.
you're losing a bar, but you're gaining liquor and.
Right.
It's more revenue too, I guess, it's more than bothering, you know.
Mhm.
So, you know.
Well, people already associate Zodiac. Would the name stay the same, or are you changing the name? I'm just curious.
I'm trying to keep the name Saint Zodiac.
Because people think of the Zodiac and that location, and so, I mean, I think it would be a really easy transition. That's just my personal opinion. If they're already thinking about alcohol or gaming there, the alcohol's gonna be different. You're gonna buy
Different
it.
entity, but like it is doing business as a Zodiac.
Yeah, right.
Now, are you doing any outside structure to the building, or are you just keeping
No,
everything
just
the way,
keep
you're just
everything
doing inside
Gonna be inside.
renovation?
Right, all the renovation gonna be inside.
Well, I looked up our liquor license ordinance and the H is for Sunday, so the I must be
Yeah,
Okay,
the gaming one.
so that would be the one we'd have to create?
yes, as an additional I license.
Okay,
That's what we
create.
wanna do.
If we just switched him to a I and H, will it not suffice him doing what he wants to do?
Well, so not nitpicking,
Yeah.
just, you guys would have to create the license and then I
Absolutely.
could issue it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's what it would do, it'd be a switch, more or less.
But if you switch him to an I and an H, it ought to be able to do everything he wants to do.
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
but you guys have to create the
Right.
additional
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
Because
before
there's
I
no
can issue it.
I.
So it wouldn't be A and H, it would be I and H?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a problem paying $2,650 a
Yes,
year?
sir.
So that, my next question,
Case closed, yeah.
Case closed, huh?
When is this taking place?
yeah, that,
Do you
As
know
soon as you have approval here, the license.
when you hear
Yeah,
from
I
us?
see.
Because obviously
Okay.
that puts a wrench in the
because
works.
the
That's
other
what I'm holding up
licenses,
right now.
Yeah.
the other licenses are up in June, July would be issued a new one, so would that be, you don't issue an A and H in July, correct? We're gonna see about an I and H?
But
I
depends
just
on
wanna
what
know
happens
for my-
next week.
So we need to create this
The I.
so that they can go forward, move forward.
Right.
The one on Main and Walnut, you own that one too,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And you still own the gas station across the street?
No, I sold that.
Okay,
I sold together.
okay.
I think the spirit of this, when we put in the license caps, was because every business was popping up having
Yes.
gaming, and it was like,
Yes.
is this South Jacksonville or Reno? You know, it was pretty wild.
Yes.
I think we were all pretty unanimous on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in this particular case, I think it would make sense to create it and switch it, because we wouldn't be adding gaming to the village, is already gaming there.
Exactly.
And it would just be changing,
Changing it.
We'll be good, like going back to the olive
Bar,
branch, right?
package.
Yeah.
When
Right.
they had it and they sold businesses.
And
You're
so
just changing, you're changing label.
Right.
You're going from pour liquor bar to package.
Package, yeah.
So there's
And
no-
already gaming is there already, you just need to change that to the parlor like this. Mr. Mayor said.
That, we're gaining $2,000 more dollars.
Leave it up to the auctioneer.
Well,
Get whatever you can.
We're losing a business that people consume alcohol and get in their cars and leave, so.
It's
From
what?
the
Sorry.
police department aspect, we would
He,
encourage.
she didn't hear what
I
you
didn't
said
hear
to
what you
begin
say.
with.
So the council, by doing that, would also be eliminating a business in a people consume alcohol
Absolutely.
and get in their cars and drink or drive to a business where they purchase it and
Yeah.
presumably take it home.
That's a great point.
While we're on this topic, and this is something that Megan and I have banged our heads on every 6 months, I would also like the board to consider, and we won't do it in June because we won't have enough time to do it in a week, but I would like to consider, like you guys consider, doing away with the H and redoing our ordinance that just allows the hours on Sunday. Any more discussion on this? Because I think this would tie in more with the hours.
No, I mean, I would,
so you want everybody to have an H whether they're open on Sunday or not?
No, we'll just do away with the H, and it has the hours in like the A's and the C's and all that. They have their hours listed, but they all like say no Sundays. We could just change the main.
Just to simplify things.
Yes,
I
it
don't
would
see a problem
totally
with that.
simplify it. Because when we do this every 6 months, it's a pain, and getting rid of those extra licenses
Yeah.
would simplify it. It would.
But anybody that had a liquor license would be able to sell liquor on Sunday if they chose
Yes,
to.
and we could actually, I don't think there would be a single objection because our licenses aren't that high. We could just change the fee to, like, if one is I'm trying to add one up here. An A&H is currently 600, so I'm guessing it's probably 450 and 150, I think, without going in and looking them up. We just make the A 600 and do away with the H. Just simplify.
Yeah.
Along that same vein, the liquor license hours for a Class B, which is also, that's on the agenda, that's the next item there. The Class B is a restaurant or lodging license. And I apologize, I did not bring the name of the company, but the company that runs the gaming in both, it's gonna be on the agenda for next week to create that license, so. They run the gaming for both the Olive Branch and the Baymont, and our hours, speaking of Sunday, our hours for Sunday are currently,
You just had to pull up there.
yeah,
Oh, you got it?
oh,
yeah.
You know that one, man.
Well, they can't sell it till, I don't know about that, but it's noon.
Yeah, noon, is that what it?
Well,
I didn't know if you knew both
only
ends.
because when we were going to, and she said we don't do that, I said,
There
no,
we go.
they got rid of that, and she said, no, this was FS, said, no, they said that, so then later they were like, oh, we asked about that, and no, it's not, and I don't know, they don't even know the answer, they asked me, I should have known that answer, I don't know it. I didn't know if we mimic them or we're separate than them on that.
Oh, separate than who?
What's that
Then
say?
like the city, you can go anywhere and get it before.
Oh,
noon
yeah,
or
no,
something.
we're
So
we're
we are
separate, yeah,
separate
yeah.
completely on
Yeah.
that.
only.
So-
We have our own hours, which are,
More than one half.
For, on
Oh,
Sunday?
that's just about the
Or in
rate.
general, on Sunday, it's
Sunday.
12 o'clock
It has to
noon
be
to 10
noon in the
o'clock
city,
p.m.
just like here.
not now. It doesn't
They
matter.
changed
It
it.
is not there.
I didn't even lay it up for now.
There's no,
There's
they
not.
can open anytime they want to on Sunday and sell.
Well, this isn't open, I'm talking about a gas station. I'm talking about the gas station. I don't
Just
know.
package.
Package. I think I was gonna go to the bar and sit at like 8 in the morning. Kidding, no.
But this is for the class, this is, the Class H would apply to the pour license part, which we're talking about, the gaming parlor or in the Class B specifically, but it would also go with the H license, or I'm sorry, the A license. So when I say A and H, and taverns, restaurants, hotels, and the gaming parlors. And the specific thing was with the hotels, they check out at 10, 11 o'clock, and they can't serve. When I say serve, there's not a whole lot of porn going on in the gaming rooms, but they can't turn the machines on until you can serve alcohol. So if you can't serve alcohol until noon with your liquor license, they can't turn the machines on until noon.
Right.
So we've been asked to just look at those hours and see if we consider.
That's why I'm here, I need the answer for this.
Yes.
What we need to do to,
Well, that's what we're discussing right now.
because
Who's this cat?
before there
He
was,
owns
the machine was
Outbridge.
coming on at 6 o'clock when I was opening the restaurant.
Yeah.
Now they're coming
It's
on
really
at
good.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what we need to do to.
Well, that's what we're discussing, changing it. So
And you say Jacksonville has it or doesn't have it?
I honestly, I haven't looked at their
My mom-
hours, so she has.
I don't know.
Their hours
I know
are
my
way
mom
earlier
know,
on
and she's
Sundays,
gotten
I'm
it
sure.
before
Yes,
noon,
sir.
sitting down,
Jacksonville?
drinking it
Yeah.
in a package.
starting
6:30.
6 in the morning.
On Sundays?
Sunday, they
Yeah.
just change it about.
Then, I mean, I don't
It's
have,
everywhere.
I don't have any.
I drink, it's everywhere.
What if-
To ask about that.
Yeah, because if somebody goes, if you're going to the lake and you're gonna buy something,
Which is why
you're
the
gonna go
lady-
before noon.
Which is why they said, would you ask about that?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna lose, now that they wanna get on the lake or whatever at 11, say. That's the whole
Sure.
point. And then they're gonna go buy it over here. They can also sit down and drink it at Buffalo Wild Wings, say. You can sit
Right.
down before
And you
drink
wouldn't be able to
before
get
noon.
it here at your restaurant till noon?
But no
on a Sunday?
gas station starting,
Yeah.
you know, and they were, I said, I honestly didn't know, cause I was going, they like, nope, noon. And I'm like, sure, because they changed that law, and they're like, oh, and it's not a law, so then that's why I was
Yeah.
confused.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
we probably
okay
do
with.
lose revenues from people going up to the
Exactly,
lake.
I'm okay with changing that.
That and I.
Because, I mean, you know, who am I to tell, someone wants to drink at 7 in the morning,
that's-
knock yourself
well-
out, you know, I don't,
I work for a company where we have 1,200 employees.
yeah.
Okay?
Work
A
nights.
half of them work 6 p.m.
Yeah.
to 6 a.m. They get off at 6 a.m.
We gotta
They're
wait
ready to go.
Yeah, you gotta wait till noon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's our place to legislate
Yeah.
morality either. So.
Exactly.
So, you guys, if you're okay with it, then we can look at mimicking Jacksonville's. That's
Yeah.
no sense in reinventing
Exactly
the
what I
wheel.
was thinking.
Exactly.
It just makes it
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, make it easier, and we can get that done by next Thursday. I
Could
think.
you? That'd
I
be-
think we can get that done by next Thursday.
There we go.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Pretty
We can
much.
get those hours probably fixed by next Thursday board meeting.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right,
Makes
now we'll go
sense.
to your motor fuel tax.
Okay, motor fuel tax, basically it was just, that's gonna be an action item on the board. We had the, bids come in, which we only have one company bid, which usually it's IRC. So
Yeah.
they're at 44,000, I think I gave you that number.
You did, and I didn't.
At $44,000 for the oil chip program for the year. It's gonna be an action item at the board. So once you pass that, accept that, then it goes back to the state again, and they will accept it, and then we can to proceed and get it done.
Okay.
They've already bid, we've already accepted the bid, other than you guys accepting it on the board level.
Okay.
So we just wanted to touch base on that. FEMA, Southbrook it says, just before Larry Marriage's on Southbrook, before the railroad tracks, there's a 36-inch culvert that
Thank
comes
you,
across.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
About every 3 years, 4 years, and heavy rains, like we had the 3 and 4 inches there, it comes across the field so much that it washes around, eats the road out, and the road's shut down. That's one way in and one way out of it. So, long story short, engineer says it needs 2 36-inch culverts side by side. There's only one, or a 6-foot box culvert. We thought it was gonna be $10,000, $12,000. We was gonna pay for it out of motor fuel tax and move on. $40,000. Since then, Phil McCarty from Jacksonville, from ESDA, has got a hold of me, and I went to a meeting in Winchester last week. More than likely, Morgan County's gonna get declared a disaster, which will mean we will get FEMA assistance. If we get awarded this, then we will get up to 75% of that budget. So, just letting you guys know, there's a chance we will. I am not putting $40,000 in that road if I don't know that we're getting paid back. If so, we're gonna keep patching it like we are. It happens every 3 or 4 years, it's not every time it rains. So just, like you said, keeping informed that way. If you hear something later, hey, didn't know you guys were getting FEMA money. Well, now you know there's
Yeah.
a possibility.
Yeah.
We don't know, but there's a chance.
You know, and this is an honorary situation because we're responsible for that road,
To the railroad tracks.
to the railroad tracks.
That's right.
But after the railroad tracks, you're looking at Jacksonville, and you're looking at Southbrook.
Well, no,
subdivision.
we're from, it's really weird. From 267 to the tracks is us, from the tracks
Okay.
to Southbrook is the county,
Right.
and then the city. There's 3 entities out there.
I didn't know,
Crazy.
I didn't know the
We
county
plow,
was
we
included.
plow to the tracks, the
Huh.
county plows from the tracks out, and the city
Oh, for
plows
God's sake.
southward. Yes,
Don't you cross your line.
that's right. So that's
Jeez.
where we're at with that. That was just an informative. Last thing is tile project. Paul and I talked, Todd and I talked a little bit this evening, so they're aware of it, but, and I thought they were gonna be here tonight, but nobody is here from that property. Jacksonville Truck Parts, Dave Brogdon, next to him,
Yeah.
and then Rick Beniter's place, all 3 of them. In the heavy rains, they're flooding, long story short, they have field tile that are broke.
This is reminder. Who owns in between Rick's and,
Dave Brogdon.
he bought the old small end, or the?
Larry Flynn owns that.
There's
okay.
4 properties there. The center property is split in 2 ways. It's weird.
Right, because Brogdon's is on the
If
backside.
you're on the south main side, it's Truck Parts,
Right.
the old place, which is
Right.
Flynn bought it, and then Rick.
Brogdon's back behind.
But if you get back here, then it's
Okay.
3 different people. It's,
That's
Just,
what you're talking
just
about.
south of the theater.
Cause right here, right?
you know
Here's
where
the
he's at, don't you, Dick?
Oh, the theater's there.
Do what?
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yep, gotcha.
Do what?
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, we've got there's field tile that is busted on all 3 properties. They've been telling us for years that it's our property, our problem. What can you do for me? I can't. It's private property. So, this has been going on and going on and going on. So this year, with all the rain we've had, it's really bad. I mean, it's flooding down through there. They're saying that when we put a sewer main in down there 8 years ago, that the contractor plowed through, filled tile, and that's when it started. Well, it's not, but I'm sure that could have added to it. Okay, so it could be. But I told him the other day, I said, look, the only thing I can tell you is go to the board, see if they will do it as a TIF project, because they are all in the TIF. And I said, you'll have to pay for it up front and get paid back. Well, then, like I was talking to Harry and Paula and Todd, it's probably a $5,000 or $10,000 project to make it right. So is it even worth going through all that than just pay for it out of the TIF and be done with it?
Well, we'd have to.
And that's your guys' decision, not mine.
Since it's on the private property, they'd have to pay for it first, but we could pay back in a lump sum instead of doing
Right,
it
right.
like the property tax rebate.
I'm just throwing this out there, because I like to keep as much of that TIF as we can, but you're talking a small project here,
Yeah.
and it's possible that we could have created part of it when we
But we
put
could
the
still
sewer in.
pay it back at a lump sum. We just, I don't
But
think.
what I'm getting at is do we pay it 100% or do we 50%?
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
If we decided to do it.
So you're saying
100%.
it still has to go through them, but we could pay it back at once?
Since it's on the private property, that's my understanding,
Mhm.
and I
And that's
should have asked her
fine.
that before she left. But I'm pretty sure, like we were talking about with the sewer
Mhm.
extension, since that's on the public right of way, we can
I-
just pay for that directly.
Right.
But since we're talking about doing
They
some
may have
tile
to do
work
it up
on the
front and
private
then get it
land,
back.
I think they have to do it first, and we reimburse.
I told them there would have to be an agreement up front. So I told them I would present it to you guys. I really thought one of the 3 property owners would be here tonight. I will let them know we've talked so that the ball's rolling. Now, to me, the ball's in their court. Now, at this point, they need to come to the board meeting, or it's going to be another month off, and say, can we enter
Need to
into
get a
it?
TIF application.
Right, can we
right?
enter into a TIF agreement
And that's
here?
where it's gonna start.
And
Yeah.
Let's do it all right this time.
Right, and
Yeah.
up front,
Yeah.
am I getting 100% of it? Am I getting 75,
Right.
50, 20? That's up to you guys. I'm not telling you how to do it. That's just the talks I've had with them.
who's doing the work if it's done?
It would have to be, they would be up to them to get a contractor to do it.
Okay.
I mean, we're not doing it even.
That
even
water
if-
drains to the north anyway, to the ditch, does it not?
To the north, and that's what I told him, I said, you could come off of truck parts with 2 or 3 6-inch tile, put it in the ditch. Brogdon's 2 or 3 in the ditch. Veniter's 2 or 3 into the ditch, and the ditch flows good, it'll take it. It's just, right now, it can't get there, so it's bubbling up and going across land, and it's affecting us because it's pulling gravel out of the parking lots, and it's plugging up the culvert, and we're out there every 2 weeks, in all this rain, digging it back out again.
So that drains to the north,
Yeah,
Yes.
kinda goes in that little brook or whatever.
goes
it
to
is.
minor drive.
It's all
It's
natural
complicated.
waterways.
It comes out of there and it flows east about 30 foot, goes across the road, then flows back west to get into the waterway.
It's complicated.
Yeah, to get into the waterway to go on out.
Eventually it all goes to Nichols Park.
Mobile Star.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Can you tell, I don't know if you can tell them or not, hey, you need to go get a tip application?
Yeah, but I told
That's
them
what
that
you
the other
said.
day and I thought they were gonna be here,
Okay.
so I've done my part for them, the rest is
Okay.
on them. So,
I wasn't in the TIP project, but this sounds like, kinda like mine, and,
yeah,
What?
yeah,
but you know who did that?
Mm.
On my time.
yeah.
I'm confused,
Help
are
me.
they a business?
Yeah, there's
What?
3
All three
businesses.
It's a business.
All 3
Okay,
businesses.
because
Yeah.
The TIF application is for an agreement, right? I mean,
Right.
are you wanting to do an agreement with them, like a long-term thing? And is this something that could be turned into insurance if it's a liability of ours?
I don't think we
Like
wanna
if
go
it's
insurance,
something-
although we've been hammered.
Especially since it's personal property too.
And how would you prove that that's our liability?
Right, you
Well,
can't,
that's what I'm at, you know what I mean, like, cause if we're talking
Right.
expenses for us.
But I think what Harry was saying, to enter into agreement, but then still pay off and be done, not because it is private property, whether it's a business or a home.
I'm just throwing that out there as
Right.
options, you know, like. I mean,
Run it by
there's a-
one.
I'm gonna tell them, come and get an application,
Okay.
they're gonna have to come back and sit with you guys, they're gonna have to hash it out.
This is something that's
I have
going on
been-
forever.
I have been
It's
beat
not
up.
just
Yeah.
a one-time deal.
I have been beat up for 5 years on this, and I told them, I said, I'm done with it, this is the only way I see it's gonna happen.
You
Come
wanna
to
go
the
for
meeting.
6?
Huh?
You don't wanna go for 6?
No, I'm done.
what?
No, I'm done.
See, if we send this to Gwen though, I don't think she'll find that to be, I don't know that she'll find it to be eligible cost, because the property tax, there won't be the increment there. You see what I mean, like, if they're not.
They're paying
actually-
property tax, it's still
Well, I
coming
didn't know
back to.
if, there was no increment increase is what she said.
Yeah,
But I
there
didn't know
won't
if
be-
there would be like the upfront cost of, I didn't know if that,
We might just be able to do it, you know what I mean, but I don't know.
see, that's what I
You see
didn't know
I'm
if we,
saying?
yeah.
I
didn't
see what
know
you're
if we
saying,
can on private
I see
property,
what you're
though.
saying, Tiffany.
Cause that won't change really.
Right.
with
This,
that.
this
So-
is kinda going back to horse trading. I mean, we could come to them and say, look, we'll pay half this, you pay the other half.
That's
And
exactly
if
what
they
I
don't
was
wanna
gonna
pay the
And,
half, the hell with it.
and I'm gonna be honest with you, that, I sat right out here and told Rod, I didn't say we were paying 100%. I said, you're gonna have to negotiate what percent you get back. I said, that's between you and the board, so he
Well-
knows that up front.
And the first question, the first hurdle is seeing what we can pay for and what we can't,
Right.
so it's.
Right.
But then, like
I
I told
agree.
Harry, I'm just guessing, you're looking at maybe $5,000 to $10,000 project or under. It's just field tile.
Mhm.
And it's not them long runs. This is not, I mean, this is a 2-day project and it's done. You know, for somebody that does tiling. So
I'd say just cut them a check and be done with it.
I've done my part. I'm gonna tell them to come in and then you guys, you know, I was hoping they'd be here tonight, so
That's
things
where
would
you
get
get
hashed
into
out.
obligations. We'll
There
see
you go,
did for
because
one.
as soon as you do that, then the 10 other people that have this problem next year,
Yeah. Well, but here's
And
how.
it's not
You
gonna
gotta
be the
wait
same.
5 years, you gotta work through John for 5 years.
Here-
well, I'm just saying that you
When you
can't
go to
obligate
retire.
yourself because it'll bite you in the ass.
I told Harry, I've told, I think, you three, because we've talked about this. There is a chance that some of this could have come from when we did put the sewer in, so there could be. And they can, that's what they're contending, that this didn't do it before then. I find hard to believe that it all started since then, but I also can't say that it didn't. And we did go all the way down through there with the 10-inch sewer main and dug deep, and they were good and gave us easements across their property and had them out of their parking lots for days on end, and they were fine with that, so, you know,
There's a possibility that it could have.
that's exactly right.
As
And that's,
it
I
all
agree
fills
with
back
what
in and
Harry
settles
said.
in.
Find out the logistics of
Right.
it is.
Right.
And then we proceed there and say, hey,
You
you
go
know,
from
we'll
there.
pay 50%, you pay, you know, or whatever,
Yep,
but
yep.
you can't just, and
No,
you can't just say, we'll pay for it, because then
Nope.
Johnny Jack over here on the southeast is gonna say, well, I got personal property that, because of this, you know.
And I ain't helping the next guy like I helped
Right.
you.
But yes, if it's on
That's
private
big,
property, that's the
special,
biggest
right?
hurdle. We just have to find out what we can and can't
Yeah,
do, so.
yeah.
All right, well, moving on, you look like you're about to fall, what else, you got something else?
That's it.
Okay,
Yep.
You got budget.
That ain't fair.
I ain't got a problem with my budget. Got anything else for me, Lips?
I'm gonna tell you in the morning you'll have a problem, cause we're getting ready to shift.
Oh boy.
you've
all
been
later.
over there so quiet and so peaceful.
Yeah. And then that mouth.
He has permission. Chief, you got some new hires you wanna go over?
Yeah, I got 4 new hires for the fire department. Eric Brockhouse, Zach Barble, Evan Davidson,
You're going way too fast.
Eric
Eric-
Brockhouse.
Eric Brockhouse,
Okay.
Jack Barble, B-A-R-B-L-E,
B-A-R-B-L-E. Okay.
Evan Davidson, and Brian Tobin.
Brian Dolan.
Tobin?
Yes.
That's the same one that's your age?
Is he a paramedic or EMT?
He used to be on the department.
Yeah.
And he moved. He's moved a couple times since then, but yeah.
They live in Jacksonville now, right?
Yeah, about quarter time in college.
Yeah.
You already told me, but just for the record here, how many of those live in the village?
If you're gonna count Southbrook, I count Southbrook and South Jackson just because it is 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Jack and Evan both live in South Jacksonville. And all 4 of those individuals already have EMS backgrounds.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
2 of them are EMTs, one's a paramedic, one's a nurse at the hospital, and all he has to do is take that 40-hour bridge class, and he'll be a paramedic.
But by lifting widening our jurisdiction, our restrictions, we did gain an extra 2 there, so.
Yeah.
All right, good deal.
How many of these guys wanna be, how many of these guys wanna be firefighters? No EMTs, no, oh, they all wanna be firefighters, okay.
And Eric's been on the department years ago. He's a Beerstown fire now. Jack, she has some fire experience with Chapin and Root House. Evan Davidson has from Meridosha, and Brian's been with us before.
Brian's mom lives in the village.
Does she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Victoria, I believe. Pam
Kinda
went to high school.
walks the dog every day,
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to throw Rich under the bus, council, but we've had multiple calls in the last 6 weeks where an officer will show up, because I mandate our officers to go to medical calls, and there is no medical people showing up at all. We're waiting an extreme long time for an ambulance, so really encouraging that most.
Probably mostly during the days, isn't
It's always during the day. Yes, sir.
We've had a couple calls in the past few weeks where we didn't have anybody.
It's chilling to sit, with somebody difficulty breathing and say, it's okay, just, sit down, calm, stay calm.
What do you normally do? You call an ambulance too though, or what?
An ambulance has been paged, but depending on where they're coming from, if they're coming from Pasvin or whatever the case may be, it's not, when that happens, it's not uncommon for us to wait 10, 12, even 15 minutes for any kind of medical support whatsoever.
So if you don't have any EMS personnel, you guys got automatic mutual aid with Jacksonville, though, won't they respond EMS here?
It's not gonna be quicker than Lifestar, so I
Yeah,
can't speak.
they could, but they're busy enough with their medical calls running all day, and, if we don't answer the page, if I have nobody here to answer the page, acknowledge that we received it, then it goes back to dispatch to follow their procedures on, is this call, do we need to bring in mutual aid for it?
Okay.
Do any of these 4 have daytime availability? Did you say
Yes,
that?
some of them will.
Okay.
else under public protection? If not, how about we jump down to parks and sewers and we save budget for last, because it'll probably take the longest. Thinking we got the sewers and grant information for us. Information.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, can I, am I able, do I wait till old business about, is this Parks and Tourism about the Godfrey rock? The sign, the rock?
Oh,
You know the sign?
Sure,
Is that about the rock? I called Pid, you said,
Oh, the stuff, yeah.
his thing was,
You
he
called
only
who?
has Justin Dawes.
Okay.
His main deal is red, he says all his rocks practically. He understands that you wanna stay local, but his recommendation would be, he would get us the name if you want, but there's a cheaper place in Springfield that does them. But again, that's just what he had said. It's either red from him, and you can see what he has, he considers us.
Are you saying red, like the color red?
I think so, yeah.
Like
He
red.
said
That's
red rock.
interesting, that he only
Like
has
a
red
red
one.
granite.
That on hand, that he could engrave and do that with, or he would send you
That's what they
pictures.
got.
There's red
Back in
toys
their
in the
parking lot
park,
there.
isn't there?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
like
what he
primary
has
colors.
with
It's
that.
Been a while since I played on them.
But he said, that kind of deal,
Weight rating.
he even has.
You know
said
what? I
stuff
expected
off
that from Tim, not you.
He sources it through
You know
Springfield.
what
No,
we're
he
worried
was
about?
saying
I went
there's
out
a
there with
cheap
my
place in
son, and he's
Springfield
always
too
like,
that he's
come
dealt
with me,
with. that
follow
he-
me, and I was climbing all
So
over
he
it,
could
it
get
was no
us
problem.
that
I like seeing
Cause
it.
I said, are you talking about Jacksonville Monument? He goes, no, it's actually in Springfield.
huh. I
And
wouldn't
he
mind
can get us
seeing
that
what the red looks
information.
like, he just is in my backyard, I could walk
Yeah,
over
he
there.
said he sent us pictures too. I don't know if it's there or Winchester or where it's
Oh.
at, cause he also owns.
Do they do something in that barn?
Barn.
Cause there's, oh, no, okay, because one time they were gonna talk about like doing engraving in that barn, but I haven't heard anything.
So far, it's just storage. We were ready
Okay.
to do a golf cart inspection.
Okay,
But he said he could get us both pictures and the name. and
I'd like to
Springfield.
see him, I mean, I'm not opposed to red.
But he didn't know exactly what you're looking for. He said he'd send pictures, or anybody's welcome to give his number and you can call him or go by and
I
look.
definitely wanna, for him to benefit from the.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
rather
and-
get
but
it
he-
local
But
if we
he
could.
said that too, but then he said, actually, if I were you, either way, he said, I'll send pictures, but the place in Springfield, you just can't beat the price, so I don't know. He didn't tell me that's all I'm
You
asking.
tell him, but we'd rather do it local?
Well, and he said, whatever they wanna do, just let me know. But he forgot to send me pictures, and I forgot to ask him,
Okay.
so I will call him.
While we're on Godfrey Park, this was gave to me, I guess it was something that Stacy was on for Godfrey Park. It was for, I don't know where at, but they gave me this bid for landscaping, so I don't know who wants it
We don't even have committees.
handed off, yeah. I don't know if it's,
Did we ask for something? I don't even know what it is. What is it?
We discussed doing landscaping in the spring, but that's as far as we
Oh.
ever got.
yeah, and because they called me and they're like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
You said, sure.
Right.
What's the total on the estimate there?
24, 139 and some change.
24,000?
Yeah.
It's not as scary as what I expected, so.
I don't know how much, I mean,
Yeah, what does it say?
is that the
we'd be-
whole,
We'd be getting?
I mean, it has a picture drawn here, but I don't, I haven't,
That's just pictures of the.
no, I meant this one.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of this as a picture.
No, I said drawn. If somebody
Oh.
drew that, then they're hell of an artist.
I guess that makes sense.
I could draw that.
Everybody's got you.
That's right.
That's the entrance.
We are at the little kid table.
So anyway, that's there. Okay.
You can come up here if you'd like. You've got information for us. I was talking to her. Not you.
While he was on that, here's another thing too. I went out to Lomelino Sign Company, and this is something I did when I was running tourism and all that stuff. And these are in color, guys. I got them at home here, but I didn't make them in color. But what this is either a 4 or 6, 4 or 6. 4 foot by 8 foot banners, and you give them to the people that take out an application, or not an application, but people that actually get the money. And what it says there on the second page there is, this event sponsored by the 4 motels all located in Jacksonville.
Hotels. You keep wanting to
Hotels.
call them motels.
I
They're
said no.
hotels.
I did have hotels, didn't
Yeah, but you said
I?
motel.
Oh, okay. but that's what it is. If we get 6 of them, if we wanna do this, if we get 6 of them, they're $125 a piece, they're multiple use.
$175 a piece.
That's a normal cost.
Okay.
If we get
okay.
6, they're $100 a quarter, if we got 4, they're $135.
I was gonna ask, they have grommets, and they do, perfect, you can reuse
So-
them.
There's one that Prairie Land was using, and it was way out of date, and it didn't.
It only had 3 motels, it's probably
And
the one that I originally had a long time ago.
Yeah, so, yeah.
But this way, we give them to the people that.
At the fair
At
and-
the fair,
Yeah,
at
that's
I think it's a
Prairie
great
Land,
idea.
at whatever, and they're responsible for them, they tear them up, it costs them $100 a quarter,
Concert stuff uptown, cause I was,
stuff like that.
Yeah, I
you
could
know.
see if they would put that up there, they should.
That's just an idea to throw out.
cause that's not just, I mean, that's an ongoing so it'll
Right.
be up there for,
And they take them up and
So
down.
this would be for anybody we give money to, if there's a
Anybody.
place that they have
Yeah.
to put it, I think that's a great idea.
And the event's sponsored by and then the 4
you-
hotels,
Hotels, thank you.
hotels.
holy.
Did you come up with that by yourself?
Does
Yes,
this
I
need to
did.
be an action item then?
It wouldn't be an action item, we'd just put in payables.
Okay.
But then we could pay for this out of tourism, correct?
Yes, yes,
Right.
that would be definitely out there.
You got something on new business?
I think it's a great idea.
We're not there yet.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
thought
good.
that was new business.
Okay.
Way to go, you're just,
You just
I
threw
think
it out
he's
there,
the
so I
all-star
let him know.
trustee tonight, don't you?
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Alright. I know you said
Here she comes.
to talk these first, but we're gonna have to jump to the tourism budget a little bit while we go over these.
Sure.
Just so you guys are informed. We've got 3 grant applications in. 2 for the city of Jacksonville, and then the 4th of July blast,
Bless you.
which is all the same day, but you remember from previous years.
Yeah, that they're different
One is for
events,
fireworks,
yeah.
the other one's for the blast itself,
Yeah.
each for $1,500.
Yeah.
We've done those several years. I made 2 copies of each, so if you wanna just pass them around.
Was it always the same amount, Tiffany?
It has been,
Oh, how much
1,500
was
each. Okay.
1,500
Then
each.
we have an application from
Oh, you don't believe
Prairie Land.
Yeah, I scanned it, so I've got one to keep.
And I made 2 copies of this, but I also made 1 copy for everyone of the letter that Mr. Poole wrote at the back.
You got one more?
No, I only made 2 copies of each one.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Because these are just, you guys usually just look these over,
Okay.
so. I mean, I can start copying them, but it would cost more if you.
Oh, I thought,
paperwork
okay,
unless you
okay, I'm
wanna
sorry.
keep them.
No, we don't have enough.
Yeah, I know.
we need more
Get big.
paper.
Well, and usually when you guys are done, there's just paper left and all that, so I, you know, figure. Okay, then there's, so those are the same, they're not asking for any more, 1,500, same as they have forever and ever, I guess, for a while. Like.
Right.
Okay, then this one is Prairie Land Heritage. I copied 2 of those, and then I also, at the end of this, Mr. Hank Poole put a letter to the board, so I made every board member their own copy of the letter anyway.
Okay.
So you can read the letter.
Here's Turner's.
They're asking for 30,000 this year. Last year they asked for 10, and the board gave them 10. The year before they asked for 3,000, and the board gave them
They
3.
want 30 grand
They
this
want
year.
30 grand this year. It is their
Wow.
50th anniversary year, but.
So what
Just make it
50.
50,000 then.
Yeah, but 30,000. Okay, with this being said now, there's been a lot of talk of balanced budget, which there should be. Every account we have, we spent over last year, including tourism. So, as tourism stands now, with what I expect you to bring in this year, with moving the contractual other paying for billboards and ads and all that in half, from 10,000 to 5,000, and using $50,000 on our destination site parks, which we've already spent 15 grand, so that only leaves 35 for the rest of whatever you do at Godfrey and this, and 35,000 in donations, which you've already granted at the last meeting. That would leave us budgeted. So there wouldn't be an additional amount for anything there, unless you're willing to not be balanced in that for the year, and know that going in.
And you new guys do understand that that's a restricted account. It's generated from the hotel tax. So that goes in, and every month we get money from the hotels. Now, we do also, now I want to ask you, does that earmark the money that if all 4 hotels ask
We
for
have to.
reimbursement?
We have to.
Okay, no, I know we do, I just wanted to know if you had
Yeah,
that in the
it does,
expenditure.
yep.
40% of the money that
Yes.
we take in is allowable back to them for advertising, whatever. And they have to spend the money, and then they come back and give us a bill,
They have to give a proof, yeah.
and then we pay them back up to the 40,000.
So out of the 4, how many are currently?
We did have 3, but then Baymont sold, and they haven't yet.
Okay.
But I won't be surprised if they do. So right now, only Comfort Inn and Sleep Inn are taking advantage of that. I mean, Holiday Inn is obviously more corporate, they're not local, you know what I mean? So I assume that's probably why they're not, but,
You said last year was 3,000 and the year before that was what?
Year before was 3,000, last
Then
year was
10.
10,000.
On the
for
Prairie
Steam
Land.
Shop,
Yeah.
last year was 10,000, the year before was 3,000.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And what, well, I haven't read this, does he say what he's asking for?
I mean, I made copies.
And
The building
because,
that blew down? I'll
yeah,
pay for that.
we had talked about being on all of their wristbands, is that mentioned in here?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm having trouble reading it. Saddle
I
Club.
mean, for 30,000, I would think you'd be able to get whatever you want.
because that was one thing I know, at least in the past few years. But again, it was a totally different board. But one of the options they gave us was that, you know, when you go to Prairie Land, it's a wristband for the entire weekend. And they would, they had a bank, I think, on it. But we were hoping to get the Village of South Jacksonville on the wristband. So everybody that got a wristband, it's our advertising. But I don't know. Did he fill out an application?
He
That's-
did.
Oh, okay.
The letter was attached to the application.
Oh, okay.
This is the one you're looking
Okay, yeah, does it say anything in there about wristbands? Like he'll give
It
us
says
wristbands?
$1,000 wristbands, but that's,
It
I don't
does.
know if he's purchasing wristband.
Oh,
I
okay, you
assume.
got it, man.
Because I would want to be on the wristbands.
That's a hell of a jump from 10 from last year to
Yeah.
30.
Yes, it is.
Well, and in,
I mean, we should be able to drive one of the steam engines down the street in our parade for $30,000.
but keep in
Everyone.
mind that right now, because we have no event ourselves, this is the only event that is truly South Jacksonville.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Yeah.
30,000.
No, I'm not saying
Yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with 30,000, but just remember that this, and they bring, Tim, you work the security side, how many people would you think come to Prairie Land?
I think it's been estimated 10,000 plus, you know, for that weekend, so it's substantial.
Yeah, and also the people that have
And
whatever
keep in
little
mind-
trinkets they sell there, they're probably staying out here and, you
Yeah.
know, so, I mean, you know, I get the,
It is a
Yeah.
moneymaker for
it
them.
is, yeah.
It's also a
And our
profit
guys also.
that probably profits more than most businesses in this town, so there's a lot of things. to do.
Sure,
My grandfather bought that property from the state of Illinois for $1, so
really?
I'm more than familiar with it.
Huh.
I got married on that property.
Did you?
Maybe that's what's the bad luck.
Remember, you're on camera.
Yeah.
You didn't hit start, Charlie. That was a joke.
She's
Joke,
like-
honey.
So does he actually ask for some things? What it's gonna go for?
He's got
I'm just
down
curious
there
how it-
$2,000 for the Saddle Club, main gates in the parking lot, 1,000 for wristbands,
Oh, maybe we
1,000 for
are-
entertainment, 10,000 for the 50-year celebration, and the balance promote Prairie Land Heritage in the village in South Jacksonville.
Okay.
So
I think I'd like to know what the 50th celebration is.
Especially for 10 grand, yeah.
Yeah,
What's
what-
entailed in the 50?
Yeah,
or the
what's
10,000?
that?
Well, and the balance there would be,
Table
switch back real
conversation.
quick, your,
What is it?
the front page. We got 1, 2, 3,
Never
4.
had that happen. What do I do?
So yeah, you got over half the balance is just under a generic line of promotions, so.
you got 5,000, no, I'm sorry. You got 10,000 there, so.
Yeah, 8 to 10,000, 2 to 3 grand.
I'm not opposed to upping from last year, but I don't know if I wanna go to 30.
Prairie
Because,
Land has money, guys. Don't-
yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they do.
And they run a very good show out there, but it's like anything, if it rains, you've
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
I think for sure I'd wanna be
Do
on
they
the
buy
wristbands.
insurance for their weekend?
I'm guessing they do.
I don't
We did
know.
for the concert. We had a rain insurance.
Right.
They would have to, or else you'd be out a lot of money. Maybe they don't, but I would think they would.
Is she getting batteries or something?
Yeah.
Well, it's the
I,
way,
I agree with what you're saying as far as South Jacksonville being on the wristbands, and maybe we could get, you know.
Yeah, and the sign, and maybe we can even have a bigger
give
sign.
another 5 or something, but I don't know.
Saddle Club on the main gates and parking lot, I don't know if that means we
They
get.
run horses out there and the horses tell you where to park your cars.
So
and
does
all
this
that.
mean we'd have ads on?
No, that's
They
a
got their own-
donation they give to the Saddle Club. It's
A bunch of Mr.
$2,000.
Eds out there telling you where to park.
But is there a way we can put signage
Left,
in
Larry.
more places?
You could, if you had these signs here, you know, you could.
hang them on the wagon.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we could. And if he wants entertainment, is there a stage? Can we put our banner on the stage or?
Well, they got a gazebo up there.
Well,
That's the main.
I'm all for putting us wherever, but, that's only $3,000 or $4,000. And then, I don't know what the
What's he
50,
talking about?
cause that's 2, 3, 4, but then we got 10 and then a
14,
balance.
Balance of $16,000 just
That's,
for
yeah.
fluff.
I don't mind helping with the 50th, but I don't know what the 10,000 means. I don't know.
There's a lot of fluff in there.
Yes.
I mean, I'd be willing to go up some from the 10, but I'm not comfortable going to 30, but
Seems a lot like, hey, we want you guys to finance our steam show
yeah.
kind of thing.
I mean, we do get a lot from it and that's
That's probably
fine,
in
but
there.
I don't know if I can justify 30,000.
I'm sure it costs a lot more
Because
than that, but
I walked around it last year, and the amount of booths, what do you call it, and the inside was, I thought was down.
It was down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It,
I thought so too.
So
and I don't think it's any fault of theirs. It just, you run into trends.
correct. Yeah.
So-
But I tell you, I live on Diamond and oh my God, we know when it's Pearland weekend.
You wash your car 3 times a
Oh,
weekend.
there's so many people.
You have a garage sale?
Yeah, well, I don't, my
Speaking
neighbor.
of that-
1410 South Diamond will have a big garage sale.
Yeah,
Speaking of that though, Jacksonville just made I guess it's this coming weekend, isn't it?
Citywide garage sale.
And we discussed it briefly last year and we kind of forgot. That's something maybe we should reconsider again this year, is making that weekend an official village garage sale weekend.
it is anyway, so I
I mean,
think
really
it might
it
be
is,
nice,
so
yeah.
it's something we could,
Get
throw
more
an ad
people
out
on
in the
board to
paper.
do it if it was an official event. I agree.
Yeah.
It's that new alder person from Warren.
Because really, the only people that do is kind of in that
Been
L
very
shape.
successful at it.
Oh, good.
Already, yeah.
But yeah, they go ahead and have something like that and
Well, it's a way to put your junk in somebody else's house, I guess.
Yeah.
Instead of on
I bet a
curb.
garage sale junkie might be on.
People love
It's a
garage.
relocation service.
You're right.
It is.
Well, do we want to see if we can get some better numbers from them or some more details from them, or
I would like to know what more on the 10,000.
Yeah,
And whether, how much we can slap our banners around.
exactly. I'd like to know how
On
many
the little
different
horse
ways
and
we.
carriage, or
Yeah.
on the gazebo, or
and as I'm
On the side of the big
surprised you
barn.
haven't said it yet. Hoping they would be here, right?
What?
Hoping they would be here.
Well, it makes a hell of a difference to me if you're
Because
here
then
or
we could
not.
ask
It
him
does, it
questions.
does. I
yeah.
agree.
They don't have to be, but if we
Yeah.
have questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just ask and expect to, you know.
Let's see if we can get some more answers
I
on
think
that
some
before
people
Thursday.
don't wanna come because they don't wanna be put on the spot, you know.
Hank was here the last month, wasn't
Yeah, he came in the
he?
wrong month.
He really didn't have much to say, but he just,
Oh, he was here.
I think everybody's okay with the 2 1500 ones, yes?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll definitely put those two on an action items, and we'll see if we get some more numbers on the Prairie Land one,
Mm-hmm.
because we got time for that one anyway. A little bit.
Yeah, it's not till the end of September.
And then for the billboard, you all had the contract that I got from Springfield. I doubt anybody still has it with them, and you might have, I don't know. But also, this was attributed to the Gray. It's not my handiwork. I'll let you tell them what you got.
Oh, I reached out to an artist I know and just saying, hey, do you have any ideas for a billboard design? And I didn't change any of the wording from what we got from the other billboard company. But just kind of going off of like a better looking design. And I personally like the brightly excuse me, the brightly colored one more.
The Chevron
Yeah.
with the Ferris wheel. I do too.
No,
I really
can
like
see
that
it.
one.
Go ahead, you can look at them.
Mainly because we're telling people, turn at the Ferris wheel. And then if they've never been to Jacksonville, like they're coming here for baseball, Ferris wheel's on the picture.
I like that term.
And, well, those things can change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of also like co-opting their landmark for our purposes, because we don't really have landmarks to tell people to turn at or look for, whatever, but they've got that, and I've seen pictures of that pop up online, whatever.
The Ferris wheel?
Yeah. And if we're, my wife's old boss, when we lived in Chicago, came to Jacksonville because her son was playing in a Linsfield game. And
That's a bed. I couldn't tell what that was.
I forget where they're from, but they're from northern Illinois. And so they'd never been to Jacksonville before, but they come off 55, or off of 72, sorry, in on Morton, and they would just found a hotel or whatever. But they'd never been here before, so I was thinking about them, I guess, when I was looking at these, that picture would tell somebody who's never been here before, oh, that thing, because it's enormous, turn here. So
But is that, see, I take those colors as kind of an arrow, and that's going the wrong way.
Well, that was one thing I thought of too.
That's the first thing I see.
Yeah, it's like if I'm going to turn left, I'd like the
I didn't
arrows.
think about that, but yeah.
That's the first
So
thing I
just
see.
move them to the other side of the picture,
Yeah,
because
just either flip the whole image or,
'Cause you
or
know
just flip
people
the chevron.
have
There
a
you go.
really
I like it.
short amount of time
yeah.
to look at that.
I
when they're
never,
driving.
that did not register in
If
my
I,
head.
the first
We
thing
talked about
that
this
came to
before,
my
so
eye
that
was,
billboard out there
like you
on
said,
the
the
south
Chevron.
side.
Yeah.
And that would, if I looked at that, I'd have turned
That's
right.
I
and
would've turned
went
right.
down
Right at
Penn.
Yeah,
night, right?
okay.
And that's right at, you're trying to tell me where that was, but I think it's right there at Black's Lane.
Yeah,
I like
yes,
this one too,
Black's
but-
Lane, yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. I would rather say hotel stay.
Yeah,
instead of
hotel, I don't
zone.
like zone for some reason, it just reminds
my
me of,
opinion.
like I said the
No,
last time.
I like it
it's
though.
like
That's, I mean,
kids-
that's,
That's a totally different look. I like that the hotels
I like
seem
that
more
one.
prominent on that one, and I like that, because that's the whole idea.
Yeah, I didn't tell her like
That
any
reversed, I think.
wording to change or whatever, because I was just drawing a blank.
Yeah.
I like that one too, but.
I do too. I like parts of both of them.
It's just too bad that we didn't have that sitting on this side of the village, so that way we're using our own.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like, I do
I mean,
get where
being
you're
honest,
saying
yeah.
to use theirs, but I don't like that it says Jacksonville. I know that that's
Oh,
where the
that
Ferris wheel
right
is,
there?
but I don't like
Yeah.
Jacksonville being on a South Jacksonville billboard.
Crop it out.
Right, we could put an S on it, it's a sign.
Just crop it out.
Maybe you could, because the Ferris wheel is a landmark, and when you're going down Morton, people do know where that is. Or
Yeah.
even if you don't know, you're gonna,
Yeah.
you know what a Ferris wheel
Morton
is.
County Fair uses a generic Ferris wheel in their background, like a clip art.
Yeah. Well, and if you just clip out, because the only thing I don't like about that is it says Jacksonville. I don't like that, and the arrows.
Just brick over it. Brick over. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like both of them a hell of a lot better than the other one.
I do too.
Yeah. Now, if I was to pick, even though I do agree with that being a landmark and everybody knows, that one on the bottom that you're holding right now is a better looking sign.
I forgot my bag.
Are you staying with us tonight?
Oh no!
Oh.
Ooh.
I don't want to forget that. Sorry.
Well, hey, can we ask you a question?
Yes.
I was just,
Right here. It's private property, but it's inside the TIF district, and they're having some drainage problems.
Uh-huh.
What can and can't we pay for?
Private property.
private property.
Are they wanting to do the work, or you guys are wanting to do the work?
What's,
I mean,
what we're
drainage.
asking.
Well, you know they're coming at us wanting us
Yeah.
to take care of it.
I mean, that's
But-
fine.
Well,
Either,
But how would we do it? Can we pay for it
Yeah.
up front, or would they have
Yeah.
to pay for it and we reimburse them?
either.
Either? Okay.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't necessarily need an agreement, right? They would.
If we're reimbursing them, we have to do an agreement.
Would there be any increments from that then?
No, but if we're reimbursing a private developer, we have to do it through an agreement. Anytime we're giving a private developer money,
Gotcha.
Has
So
to be an
since
agreement.
We're not the ones actually paying directly for it.
If they paid for it, then we would have to do a redevelopment agreement.
If we pay for it, we wouldn't have to.
Right.
I suggest
You
us
guys
not
just
pay for it
do the
100%,
work.
I'm telling you.
Would it be on private property, I'd say let them, as long as we can do
Yeah.
it, let them pay for it and then we reimburse whatever percentage.
Right.
we agree.
Right.
So just, we would just need them to fill out the application and then we'll do an agreement for it. And you tell us how much you're.
Awesome, glad you
You know.
forgot your laptop now, even though I'm sure you're not.
You know, I was like, damn it, if it was just a bag. But it has.
How far'd you get?
15 miles.
Man.
Turn around, New
Half
Berlin.
an hour mistake.
Heck, if you
Well-
need gas, right out here at Love's.
Yeah, I already did.
All right.
Always a summer. How about this? How about I can email these to everybody or Greg
Hold
can?
on.
Okay.
Where are you from?
Bloomington.
You're from Bloomington.
Uh-huh.
Which way did you come in? To here?
Oh,
Did
to
you
here?
come in on Morton or
By
did you come in
Love's.
here?
She came in by Love's.
Damn it.
We're trying to decide on
you,
billboard.
right, if you was going to our hotels, which one?
We're trying to get people to come off of Morton and turn down Main Street.
Just, I mean, she's
That's a
coming
good
in
point.
town.
Yeah.
You ever seen our
That
Ferris
one pops
wheel?
out a little more.
You know, have you seen our Ferris wheel when you come to town? You never come in that way?
Uh-uh.
You always come
That's
in
a
Love's.
city landmark.
The colors pop out more on that one.
The one on the left needs to be brighter.
Yeah, if it was brighter.
They need to be.
Hotel zone or hotel stay?
Hotel stay. I think the
I agree.
hotel stay sounds better. I
Yeah,
think.
zone just sounds like a kid thing or something.
I mean, we're
There's
trying
any
to
bunch of
decide
calls.
something. We all live here. We all know how to get there.
Yeah.
You don't live here.
Yeah,
You're gonna be coming in seeing this. You know,
Yeah.
which one's gonna appeal? You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how about, I mean, Greg can forward them to everybody, everybody can look at them. We take some time to look them over. 'Cause
Yeah, I
we got a
agree.
little bit of time now.
Yeah, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Do you think your friend can switch that arrow
Oh, yeah.
the right way? And
Oh, yeah.
maybe, could we see it cropped out? Do you guys, if you're all right with
What
the
one?
Jacksonville,
Sorry, go ahead.
that one, if you're all right with the I would prefer it not say Jacksonville, but if the rest of you are fine, I'm just one.
Just crop it out.
I did think about this though. One other thing to think about though, it is way down on Morton, not way down, but it'll be pointing the way they're going for 2 miles-ish.
I think
Then they
small-
turn left at the Ferris wheel, so it's, I was thinking that too, my first reaction was flip the chevrons, but then again, you're gonna be going this way as you pass the sign, and then turn left.
It'll still be the same. It'll still be left. It won't be that way. Yeah.
Right, but it'll almost be like, oh, do I need to go backwards? You know, you see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If it's pointing back that way, it's like,
Yeah.
so.
Now,
But-
now you're making me think people are gonna be confused. So
Well-
we should go with the other one.
Take Chevron out.
Yeah, you could just take that out, but that's the, drew your eye was the color.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably-
the other one is more of a professional looking sign. The other one
Maybe
kind
if
of
we pop the colors a little.
yeah. I agree,
That's
but
fine.
I think that's more of a professional looking.
But we need to get them to
But I don't
turn
like,
left on Main is the biggest thing.
yeah, so maybe that needs to be, what, is that
Just
one
make that
prominent?
big letters left on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of small there, so maybe make the left, because that's, what do you want people to see? Left and a Ferris wheel, maybe, you
Yeah, we're
know?
gonna go,
I don't like the
gonna
bed, just
go
because that's got nothing to do with it. I
stay.
mean, it's a hotel stay, but,
and then this
Put the
needs
Ferris
to be.
wheel on that one.
yeah, maybe put the Ferris wheel on this one.
Why can't we do like a?
I
Ask
like
them if
the
they can.
hotels.
Ask them if they can do like a font of the hotel. Or of the hotel. What the hell am I talking about? Of the Ferris wheel. In other words, like
A
whatever color you have of this, you have an image font of the Ferris wheel instead of having.
Like a
Picture.
color,
Like a clipboard
watermark.
type thing.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's not the actual,
So it's not
I
not
got you.
our
Yes.
monument.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Left at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, in the picture,
Or
you know,
clip
you'd
art,
have
yeah. Clip art.
and then the circle.
Yeah.
You get it.
Exactly what.
I think you
Top
need to
dog.
have the hotels, big as the logo as you.
I do too. And can we put them in alphabetical order?
Yeah, that was.
Well, people will
OCD.
gripe. Oh, they will. They'll gripe. I guarantee it. I worked in radio for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And if I didn't say them in alphabetical
There you go,
order,
just like that.
they were like, why do you like
Hey,
them better?
Just like what he's got up right there. That's what I'm
I'm
trying to
gonna
explain.
go
Thank you.
Yeah.
Swapmore County Fair.
And we'll see you again in about a half hour.
There you go.
All right. Well, work on that some more, and then let's move on to the
Good
budget.
start, Greg, good start.
Yeah, that was nice, I tell you, yeah, that was nice. They did a good job.
And along with that, I didn't know you
But-
had someone do it.
We're ready.
Rick
Can I throw
Wilson
one
said
thing
he'd
in
be
while
happy
she's
to throw
bringing
anything
up?
too.
I had a
Anybody.
resident ask me, it's
Okay.
actually
Call him because he
not
made his
Walter,
billboard.
it was another one of my neighbors. And I asked John, currently like brush for us, we don't take brush, but we can go to the city, but there's a charge. So my neighbor had said, it's too bad the village doesn't pick up that cost, cause it wouldn't be every resident taking it. And I said, I didn't know we charged, but John said, oh yeah, we do. And I said, okay, I get that, but could we, is there any legal way that if a resident goes there, or would you even want to, that we get a bill for that and we pick up the cost, or would that be opening a can of worms?
I think that would be up to, that'd be bookwork for them to do.
So they might not like it. I was just
They
trying to
might
think of a
not
way
like
to give
it
a free
because
service
I-
to the
there's-
village.
Not always some, you know, there's a trailer that you go by out there. that,
Oh, okay, see, I
you know,
don't
whoever
know.
takes care of that, he's either there or he's up there, so I mean, he's gonna have to,
Cause he
I
just,
don't know,
did
I-
they show an ID
Yes.
to say
you
their city?
have to, yes, you do.
Okay, so yeah, he would have to note that. I don't know, I wanted to throw it out because I thought it was a nice request. He wasn't being smart aleck, he was just like, he's a very conscientious guy
I
that
need to
takes
know.
care of his yard and
Oh.
he has brush.
So Paula, your code enforcement officer actually brought that to the board at the last committee. And we had the same curiosity. If we just approached the city and said,
Yeah.
hey, is there a way that?
Agreement that we can,
Yeah.
wash this off the
Agreement
table.
we can get into,
You know, we,
because people like me cheated. At my drive, I live in the village, my driver's license says 406 South Main, so all my brush goes there. People cheat the system enough anyway where
Yeah.
maybe we can enter an agreement for X amount of
I just
dollars
thought
a
I'd throw that
year.
out. And maybe, yeah, Bree's already working on it, that's great. He's just a nice guy and it was like, he likes to keep his yard nice. And he's like, I don't want a pile of brush in my backyard and he doesn't want to burn it.
It'd be something where we just have to pay an annual fee to the city if they would agree to that.
Okay,
That's up to-
because I don't think we'd get overrun with people hauling their brush, because that takes effort.
what'd she say it cost per $2 or something per dump? Is that what she said it was?
$4 and something
I
per
thought they
so
said
many
10.
cubic feet.
Oh.
Oh,
Like,
Christ.
essentially, it's the back of a pickup truck. So $5 a load, you can figure on $5 a load
Okay.
equals.
All right, so I just throw that out there. If Bree's already working on it, that's great.
I would think that we could come to some kind of agreement with them. I think they would too. You know what I mean?
And Paul, sorry, I didn't mean to misspeak. I don't think she had direction from the council to move.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm happy to tell her to check into that if the council wishes.
one you want?
or-
Yeah, I don't know that we've discussed it enough to have a direction, but if she,
Oh.
do you guys have a problem with her investigating a little more?
Thank you.
Want a paper snip, go with it.
No, I had a cigarette there and I brushed my teeth.
Yeah, maybe just to investigate and bring it back to the board.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Haven't
I'm
even
sure
sat
she
there
has
yet.
more important things. I just wanted to mention it.
She'd like it because she's struggling with the brush and people clean stuff out. So first thought
Okay,
process was,
yeah.
if there was another option.
I'm gonna take a
um,
phone,
Yeah.
take it now.
Well, and I lived by this guy for 16 years, and he's never said anything or asked for anything. So when he said, it's too bad the village doesn't pay, I was like, how can I help you, Jack? I wanted to, you know.
And it would
He's
mean
such a
less
nice-
burning too. so-
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't hurt to ask, you know.
No, what are they gonna do? Tell us no? I mean, then everybody's gonna
Yeah,
have
I
to pay the
said,
$5.
I said, you know what? I'll bring it up and ask what everybody thinks.
So who's the best sweet talker here? Dick.
Bree might be,
I go out there quite regularly and
but they probably don't like you. So.
You probably don't pay anything, do you?
a bag of candy bars. I said, come on through.
Oh, that's all we need to bring is candy.
Candy bars, yes, they work.
My problem is they'd be 8 before I got there, so. I'm shit out of luck.
There's some honesty there.
Hey, bud,
You have to go
I
back.
ain't afraid to admit nothing.
All right, budget lady, thanks, sorry.
All right, guys,
That's
let's
about brush.
settle in now. Okay, first sheet up top is, you can see to the left in the first column, I've listed all of our revenue sources. And the middle column shows what we actually brought in for fiscal year 2019. And then the third column shows, first sheet, Dick, first one right on top.
But only, okay, oh, I'm sorry, okay.
And your 2020 estimates are what I anticipate bringing in this fiscal year. as you know, I'm pretty conservative with this kind of stuff. I'm not gonna tell you you're gonna get a lot more than what I really think you're going to. I figure we'll have about around 80,000 more maybe this year, all funds combined. So, I'm not anticipating any huge revenue jumps, but you can see what the actual is and then what I'm looking for 2020. If you look down at the end, the total governmental, that's gonna include our ambulance fund, tourism. Total general is gonna exclude those funds. And then total water sewer obviously is its own fund. And then the total revenue is all of our funds combined, including TIF. Anybody have questions on this first one? So for general fund, for example, I'm anticipating 1.65 million. Last year we were at 1.57. I will tell you too, it's really hard to make these estimates. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the state's gonna do. I don't know, you know, any of that stuff. But so I do it here on the side of.
What are we renting to get 10,000? What do we rent?
Farmland.
Okay,
That's
all
our
right,
farmland.
all right.
You ready to what?
We don't rent it. Well, they rent it. We get half. We crop share with them. They plow it or do whatever, plant it.
It was the old sewer leading
Yeah.
south.
Right. Okay.
And we get half and they get half. We pay half the bills. They pay half the bills. That stuff.
Who donates money to the village, like in a, for,
Every now and then, we'll get some police donations, fire donations.
but you just lump that all in one?
Well, it goes to general, and we've had discussions with them before, that how does it go to them? No, but it still goes to them in a roundabout way, because they need an operating fund to be able to exist, so, with the exception now of when they come in to the South Jacksonville Fire Department community benefit, are directed to that now, since it's a totally separate fund.
The sales, is that water? What is that?
Which sales? There's a sales tax, and then,
That's
oh,
about
if it's just sales, that's sales tax.
sales tax.
Sorry, yep.
Okay.
That'd be sales tax, use tax, excise tax, income tax. Sorry about that. You're supposed to know what that is.
Tiffany, do you have 18's budget?
I have, well, not with me, but I have like our actual numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like those, and I probably still have it at home. Just for me, I always like to have before and what you're thinking about, so I can look back and forth and see what's increased, that helps me.
The budget, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's actually, it would be to your benefit more to look at our actual expenses versus than just what the budget was, because then you can see, even though we budgeted 20,000 for this, we spent 32, or even though we budgeted 30, we spent 18. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I could, if you would want to look at that, I can certainly print you off those sheets. You know, and you
I'll
can
check
see
and
that.
see if I have them at home. I don't know, I just have a process.
I get it. The budget sheets are only going to show you so much,
Yeah.
though, because those are still hypotheticals when you get to that.
Right.
When we look at actually making this budget, we're looking off real numbers that we actually just did last year.
But
So
see,
when
yeah.
when we
So
look at,
she can print, she gives us every month.
Yeah.
The print off of what was spent, what was budgeted, so on, and that would be hugely, the budget doesn't, I mean, we're $75,000 less budgeted this year than we were last year, but budgeted doesn't mean anything, it's how much we actually spend.
yeah, and your budget, I mean, it is what it is.
I think we need to do something with tourism, and you and I have kind of talked about this, but we need to justify in our own mind that these guys are not kidding us or not, they're not lying to us.
With the grant you're talking
No.
No, I'm talking about the money coming in from
Yeah.
tourism.
We've noticed.
From the
with
Yeah.
their
The 5%
5%
Yeah,
tax, I got
at
you.
some point, we need to look into that. I will tell you that this year, of all years I've been here yet, we have skinned to the bone.
Have what?
We have skinned to the bone before we brought it to you. Of any year that I've been involved in this, I've met with each department head at least twice, 3 times, and we had meetings with the mayor. Without cutting services, you guys are gonna have some tough choices now if we're gonna pass a balanced budget. And I do have some recommendations too. We're down to like, this is serious stuff now, just so everybody knows, like, I'm singing you the same song that I've sang for 2 years, that general fund is hurting. We really though, I think it's time that we have to really look at like the little bitty stuff that turns into the big stuff. I came up with a list of 11 recommendations that I'd like to at least be considered, to look at cutting cost into our general fund. Some of these aren't pretty, some of them you're not gonna like, but it's stuff that you have to look at when, you know, you're gonna have to make some choices. I will tell you that before we get into the budget stuff. But just to think about, when we're looking at this general fund, I think, I've talked to Chief Mann about this and our mayor, and I think we should look at moving Village Hall and Police Department hours from 8 to 4 or 8 to 4:30. We'd save about $9,000 to $20,000 a year to do that in labor, utilities, that kind of stuff. And we'd be in line more with the city and the county. They don't stay open till 5. Of course, we don't have to do what they do anyway. But by decreasing hours, you're gonna save money there. Our last hour here typically doesn't get a lot of going on anyway. I don't know about over there you do either, but.
The police department is 24/7, so regardless of whether the door's locked or not, they pick up the phone and an officer.
But you would still lose an hour of labor, administrative labor, and that kind of stuff every day. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking at that we could do. I want to deposit the village portion of the TIF surplus in general. That's $32,000. I think our general fund could definitely use that this year. I hate to say this, and I mean I really hate to say this, but we're there where we're gonna have to. Come January, I think we're gonna need to shop employee insurance packages with an increased deductible. Our deductible now, I hate to ever take things to save money on the backs of employees. I don't think that's right. But I will say our insurance deductible is $250. That was unheard of 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And they don't pay anything. Employees don't pay anything for it, which is pretty standard in a lot of municipalities I've learned. Because I did a rate study, and they're not paying for their insurance either, but they don't really have deductibles like ours. I did already talk to our insurance broker about that. If we do look at going that route, we could save $10,000 to $30,000 a year by looking at increasing deductibles. There's a $250 deductible.
You think about raising it 500 or 1,000?
$1,000.
Well, 1,000. No, he gave me some scenarios. That's something we can look at more later because that's something we can't do until January. There are some of these though that could be a lot quicker into saving this money. This was a tough one, but this is an honest recommendation from me. Eliminate all donations from the general fund. If you don't have it, you can't give it to other people. You know what I mean? No matter how great you think it is, you know, I mean, even if we all pool our own money, whatever, but general fund just doesn't really have it.
But how much does that cost us?
I mean, it depends on what you do. I mean, that's what I'm saying, like post prom. I think it's a great cause, $500, but if we don't have it, you know, like the post prom, $500, but if we don't have it.
I would rather, I mean, I like your idea of the insurance. Look at that because, I mean, my husband's been in the same line of work for 30+ years, and I can't tell you the number of times we've switched insurances because his company does what's best for his company, and we're a business.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's gotta be what's best for us.
And I agree.
While we're providing for our employees, but I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, and I don't either. I will say, from my experience when in different organizations when they've made changes are much more appreciated and respected when they see changes being made everywhere. Not just the changes affecting the employees and you're putting this on my back. You know what I mean? Like the whole organization is truly changing and putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. You know?
Can you do some comparables with other
We can, that's-
villages to see
I
what
have.
they're doing?
I did.
Ours, my deductible is $1,500, and I thought, oh,
That's what I said.
that's nice.
Right, 250 was unheard of
250
10
is-
years ago.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
like
with that
the
being
high
said
dollar.
too, our insurance broker said that was part of the reason where wages were so low here for a while, you know, like he said it was kind of the makeup for the low wage. We've kind of lined that up again though, you know what I mean? Like we're back to where, you know, we're getting better than we were anyway, you know, to where, so, I don't know, just something, you know, there is some cost saving there.
But you say that's not till January is an option?
It wouldn't save you any money to switch it sooner
Okay.
because we're into this, because that's our enrollment
That's their
period.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could do it sooner than that, but why, you know,
Right.
if it's not gonna
Right.
save you anything.
Who manages your insurance?
Dennis Lister out of Springfield.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I mean, he should be able to pull you some comparables from
He
other
did.
villages too. Okay, okay.
yeah, so he's, or not from other villages, but, I asked
Other
him what
employers with
he's
about the same
seeing,
amount of,
Yeah, I mean, we talked more just like other employers, yes, but then also like us specifically too, you know what I mean, like to, but we've got some ideas, but
okay.
like I said, we can look at that in a different committee later. And I think that's important, I don't wanna gloss over it, I'm just saying like that's a further off one, you know what I mean, like that, I just know we got a lot to talk about. Christmas party, I say we either swap it for a Christmas bonus if you just have to do something, or eliminate everything entirely. You know, my husband works for the state, he never gets a bonus, they pay to go to their Christmas party, you know, so I think they're nice, but if you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
What's the
So,
Christmas party usually cost the village?
all in, well, I don't know, what did we spend last year, I can tell you. We spent
We haven't even gone
$35.67
past
on
year.
it last year.
Say that again, how much?
$3,500.
Yeah, no.
And that's cost of invitation, and everything, you know, and we did, ours last year was more expensive than the year before because we had the murder mystery, you know, and all that, so,
I think my
What's
husband,
a dinner play or something like
Yeah.
that?
give everybody a ham and say have a good day.
A ham, is
That's
that
what
what
my
you said?
dad.
I say extra party, give everybody a ham and have a nice evening.
Have at it.
yeah.
Sorry, Tim. I know you like that night.
So, anyway, there's that,
Okay, so Christmas party would be like 3,500 savings,
That was a joke, I said that.
possibly.
I'm looking to publish only as necessary in one paper. I know sometimes we're like, let's put it in both, that's great, I'm not against that, but if you don't have the money again, and
Right.
the legal requirement is fulfilled with one paper, just do it in one, and whichever one's cheaper.
Well, one, it's just you have to have it a lot earlier. We'd have to have our stuff versus, you know.
Sure, I know sometimes you,
Okay.
I'm not saying, these are
Right, I
just,
know.
I'm not
But
pointing
yeah,
it's
out.
not like,
deadline
we
I know
have
some
to
of
get
these
it
are-
now, it has to be that one. yeah.
Sometimes we can't help it, I know.
Yeah.
Consolidate the internet as we're able. Tim and I have met with Matt a lot, and actually today, Matt just gave me the word that improvements that we've made down at the park, we're gonna be able to cut that media come off, so that's gonna save us $1,600 a year. And there may still be some more places we can combine those, the stuff that we're looking at, so eliminate all meal expenses other than during approved travel. Basically, that's really just the street department, and John was fine with coding everything to water sewer, so that's the only things now that get with that. I would continue to use tourism to pay for Godfrey Park as expenses as the destination site, and then I would also like to see make and adhere a plan to enable use of tourism money to be spent at Dewey Park if you're going to, which would eliminate the use of the general fund. So, like I said, a lot of that's not pretty, but it's
That's
ideas and, you know.
I'm fine with looking at all that, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
None of that's.
Oh,
it's
that's
time to
fine.
look at, you know, I mean, and it's not horrible, but it's time to look at, you know what I mean, like what do you need to do to
You
really.
guys is 23 years, we stopped at 23 years. Revenues have not been increased in this village in that time. Everywhere else, you cross the line, taxes are higher. I understand it's a village and we want to make it a great place to live. Cass County, the only reason their sheriff's department is still alive is the 1% safety tax. I mean, we've talked about these things for a couple of years, but it's to the point now where the department heads are begging you folks, because you're the only ones that can do it. If we don't raise revenues, we don't have any options. We will come back either this year or next year and say, hey, it's time to start cutting officers. It's time to start cutting services that we offer our citizens if we don't concentrate on raising revenues. There's no reason that you cross Michigan and the taxes are substantially different than what they are here. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenues with sales tax and safety taxes, the stuff that's out there and available.
But the sales tax, we have no control over that. I mean,
You do have 100% control
Sales, yes.
of that.
how the hell do you say that?
Because it takes this council, Dick, the same as the
So we don't have a Walmart,
It takes this council
okay?
to say that we are gonna be a home rule council, to promote that, to get the citizens to pass it, and to adjust your sales tax. You're one of the last
ours up to
communities in the
8%.
state of Illinois with a 6 1/4 sales tax.
Okay? But we don't have the base. What I'm saying is we don't have the base of Walmarts, of the grocery stores, of all that things, car dealers, whatever that would bring money in. So we're at a disadvantage already.
Absolutely.
Love to see a grocery store come out there. Love to see a Walmart.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
And
So-
with that being said too, this is honest truth, I've never put a single dollar of mine in one of those gaming things, you know, here.
Right.
And
Me either.
like, I'm not saying I'm in a casino, but not one of those, you know? But you've heard me say before, they're bringing revenue. Last year they brought 25,000 more than I thought they would. So we're still not saturated, you know? And that's, I know nobody really wants to see that everywhere, but they're bringing money, you know, so.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot, you're not kidding.
Kind of good and evil. You
Yeah.
don't wanna see them, but they're big revenue.
Yeah, we got
They
120
see somebody
days.
go in there with a family and blow his whole paycheck.
Yeah, then they get evicted from their apartment, but that, we're getting their money from the.
It's sad. I mean,
I know.
the,
That's right, we don't have control over
when I
it.
see the dollar amount from Morgan County last year, I'm like, there is no way that people were thinking ahead.
Yeah, those village
Yeah,
bills are
shit.
paid, you know?
Yeah.
They can,
Yeah.
you know, so hey, that's.
So are we gonna set meetings to talk to the individual departments?
Well, we
Department
actually, we're
heads.
ready to go tonight, I mean,
No,
Mine-
we're not.
No, I don't wanna talk about it tonight. I need to get more, like, I wanna look at the 18 myself. I mean, if you guys want to, that's fine, but I'm not ready to, I mean, you can discuss it if you want, I'd be
Yeah,
to
I
listen.
wanna see the actual expenses from,
I mean, I've got those, I
Last
can make
year.
copies for everyone.
Well, just
So
the way
you're-
we've done it in the past is we've separated the nights because I feel like it gets really overwhelming to talk about it all at once, and then we separate,
No, we've always done it all at once.
well, we talk to the department heads individually. Like, John's not even here.
He wasn't here last time we did this though.
Yeah, well, I would love for him to be here.
I'm only concerned because
See, I didn't know
I thought
this
we were
was what we
passing
were gonna do
budget
tonight. I didn't know
at
that.
the
Yeah.
June meeting.
That's
Wasn't
why
it on
we
the
ordered
agenda?
pizza. We figured we'd be here all night, but the only, from the department head
Was it on?
standpoint, you know,
It
'cause I
says
think we've
budget,
all
yeah.
talked.
Yeah.
The only thing that we would ask is, I'm happy to sit down anytime, set the meeting, but can we do it ASAP? Because in years past, not necessarily last year wasn't as bad, the year before was horrible.
Oh, I agree, it was.
For, you know, for us to try to run these with no set budget, not,
Yeah.
And I think you like transparency with that also. And I'm honest, and I told you that last year because you guys managed to pass it in June last year. Or was it July the year before? But when you pass budget and do appropriations the same night, I think that's less transparent because it gives the public no time at all, literally, in between, it's the same night when you're passing budget and appropriations to ask you about anything or to comment on anything or
which
to.
was last year.
Yeah, and that's not right. I mean, honestly, I don't think.
No, that's a good point.
Legally, you don't have to have appropriations done until July, but,
Well, then maybe I'm confusing the
says-
years because I know prior, and I don't know how many years back, but we had different, the budget was not discussed in one night. We broke it up and then, because it gets overwhelming and the numbers get confusing, and so it might have been when you first
I say,
came.
ever since I've been here, this is how I've done it. So
Okay.
maybe it was before me.
It could have been. Well, I would have only been 1 year before you.
But this is how I've done it the 3 years I've been here. But that doesn't mean, you know,
I'm not discussing John's budget without John here, because to me, that makes no sense. He's a department head.
I'm not arguing that
Yeah.
one, but
I mean, the department head, if he wants money in his budget, he should be here talking to us about it.
I think he left and you should divide his money between the five.
There you go. That's what I'll say.
Sorry,
You weren't
John.
here.
I don't know, but I
So
think
the
Johnny's kind of a closet tough guy, so.
Tiffany, you're talking, so in July, the appropriations hearing.
I think I'm running water, so.
Yeah.
Board meeting, you're saying not to do that?
no, I'm not saying not to
Oh.
do that. I'm saying I don't think that's fair to the village to. when
So
you have
this
to
is
have
how
a-
it's always been, right?
Yeah, you have to have appropriations by July legally.
But I'm saying it, like here, so we would change, this is Danny's, I'm
You
just
have
saying.
to do it.
I know,
Oh.
before the July board meeting, that you passed the budget, or is that in June? When is it?
June is ideally in the budget. The budget should be passed in June,
Okay,
and then appropriations gets passed in July.
okay.
And, I mean, we kind of touched on it tonight when we talked about TIF, but two really big things, well, not even just two, but right off the bat, tourism and TIF. I mean, I've been saying since I was actually elected and not appointed, that I thought we needed to have a long-range plan, a long-term plan for what the board's idea was for TIF. Are we gonna use it for us? Are we gonna use it for business incentives? And if so, what percentage? We've never had that discussion, so I have a really hard time looking at a TIF budget. And then tourism is another one. We've got $500,000 in there plus, and I have no idea what anybody's plans are because we've never discussed it. We pick little projects here and there and we fund them, but what's the overall? So those are two, and then the other would be John's, probably him, because I think I've touched base with both of these department heads on, and we've done a good job, I think, vehicle replacement schedules.
Right.
And everybody was on board with that, and I think that's wonderful, because that to me is long-range planning. But for John, roads, what do we do? People constantly complain about ditches and routine maintenance, and that's why I want him here. So
And that's a
planning,
big one.
board planning, I mean, doesn't that go with budget? How do you set a budget when you don't know some long-term plans?
Well.
I mean, I'm not asking
I know,
you to
with the
answer me.
TIF though,
That was a rhetorical question, I
I'll
guess.
say, if the board decides that you're gonna fix that road out in front of the hotels, you don't really have too many options this year. You're either gonna pay it out of general and hurt general even more, or you're gonna pay it out of TIF, and you're not gonna have a whole lot of TIF money left to play with.
Right.
So, I mean, that's about, unless somebody else thinks of something else, that's your options, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or just don't fix it, you know? I don't know. So that's-
Using these figures you have here, how much are we over or under or what, from what? And I have a hard time putting TIF money in and putting tourism money in. I think those all be
I
excluded
do
out.
too. I
They
feel
are
there's-
excluded.
Okay, is that the 1.65?
1.793 is your total governmental. That's all of your government money. That's tourism taxes, TIF money,
Okay.
general fund, everything. Your total general is just your total general fund. Your water sewer is your water sewer, and then the total revenue is all of that combined.
She was mentioning, I think this might be what you're talking about, is that the TIF surplus that would come back to us as a property tax anyway from the county.
32,000.
The
Yeah,
32,000.
to use that for
That's
But-
optional, we can either put
But
that
here's
in.
690,000 that's included in this, is it not?
No,
Of the
that's
TIF?
included in the total governmental, but not in the general,
Okay.
because TIF isn't general money.
So you said TIF and tourism are not in the general?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, this total line right here.
Yes, yes. That's the way I thought I heard it.
But how much expenses do we have right now? If we pass this budget tonight?
With this, well, you're not gonna pass it tonight anyway.
Well, no,
With-
I know,
with-
but I wanna know how much
With
we.
what we've got, what you're looking at, you're about, I have the figure here. Did I put that in the email to you?
You might have. You probably did.
I wanna say you're around 150,000.
Over? Okay.
And keep in mind, when you're looking at like the budget for administration, I'm already counting on implementing some of those changes that I suggested when I'm presenting this budget. So if any, if we don't wanna do some of those, then, or if you're just like, hell no, we're not doing that, then these numbers are gonna go up.
You're saying that's what you're projecting it to be, is 150 over?
About somewhere in there, I've got it, can you find it out, did you see it?
Is this the one? I can't read it.
No. So Dick, you're saying you want a balanced budget, right?
I sure would like to have them.
When I figured, I'll be really honest, we were close.
I have no idea.
Here's how
Since I've
close
been
we
here.
are.
This right there?
Oh, no. We're close enough, okay, with administration, we always put the legal fee in there. So,
Right.
there's 200,000, we're not gonna spend that unless something crazy happens. If a cop gets sued or something, and it could, who knows? But last year we spent under 13,000. So, there's 150 right there.
That's under contractual legal.
Yeah, if we.
See, that's what I'd like to know, what we actually spent.
Yeah, if we eliminated.
You said you do have these figures, correct?
Yeah, I do, yeah. On legal, last year we spent, I can copy all this for you. We spent $12,613.
Do you want me to go make?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Thank
that's how, I gotta have what's actual and what we're thinking. What did we spend? And then we've gotta decide if it's worth taking a chance and lowering it.
Well, especially, we're all going off thoughts.
Right.
So-
And I don't know, I need to see the
Well,
actual.
we're not just going off thoughts though, guys, I promise. We've put
Well,
a lot of weight.
I understand. No, I didn't mean that in a bad, you know what I'm saying?
But we're not the financial whizzes you are, so we need all the info.
Well,
I'm
actually,
a-
you know what, let's do these two.
I'm a
'cause they're
dumb
more
insulator,
fun.
so.
Yeah, I
Tim, the 120,000 for communications, and that's for 911.
Yes, sir.
Is that gonna be higher next year, this year?
I actually wrote it a little higher, Dick.
Oh, sorry,
We do
Dick.
have great concern there because one of the partners is leaving past the hospital. Our struggle, or my struggle is, I don't think Tiffany struggles with it, just because she's smarter than me, but their budget and our budget are so opposites. I think their budget starts, 911 budget starts in August. So, with it's trying to budget for something that we don't know about this year. Passing the hospital's falling out, so what's that gonna do to the partners that are left?
So what's PASFA going to do? I'm being nosy here, but I'm not being nosy. They're not
No,
gonna.
they're an equal partner right now, just like South Jacksonville, and they're pulling out of that partnership and they're not required to be in it anymore. They were one of the original partners, and they're not required to be in that partnership anymore.
So in essence, then we could really see a hell of an increase, right?
And we did increase that from what was actually spent, not budgeted last year, but what we actually spent, we did increase it for a little bit of padding there, and we're hoping the grants and everything that has going that will be okay.
I need to ask.
Dick, to go back to what you asked with how, this is how close we are. If we
Yeah.
figure we're not gonna spend that legal, and I don't remember the amount right off the top of my head, but I can get it for you. And if we eliminated capital outlay for the year,
Capital what?
outlay, we'd be there, just about there.
Capital
I'm not
outlay being
suggesting you
what?
do that, but
What's capital
I was
outlay?
gonna say, break it down to dummy terms here.
vehicles, stuff like that, like your big purchase. And I'm not suggesting that, fellas, but that's, you know what I mean, like when you break it down, that's where it would be.
Well, that's why we have a vehicle replacement plan, and then we know if we're going to be facing vehicles in a particular budget year. That's just.
Guess who's going back to old Smoky Joe car?
Have you thought of horses?
Did you say horse?
Horses? Yeah, have you thought of horses?
They'd probably cost more.
I think
I
bison.
think you can still have a horse in the village.
Oh, hell yeah.
Not on Sundays between
No.
them.
Okay.
So, and I know you guys know this, but administrations of the past, they were fantastic about banking money and banking money and banking money. Unfortunately, the infrastructure went to shit. That's what this comes down for, and you guys have been paying for trying to catch up, just like the squad cars and Johnson, whatever it is.
Exactly.
You guys have been paying that price. This is our final year, if you decide, and don't get me wrong, the police department's not gonna close if you say you can't buy your 2 squad cars this year. But this is our final year. This is the last year that, Paula, when you and I met, And we figure that long-range plan out. This is our final year, and then next year we actually start trading our new ones, our 17s in, so that cost drops by close to 70%. We actually sat down before this year and said, just a hypothetical, if we were to be trading these cars in. So it works, but it's, you guys have tough decisions.
And Rich, under yours, you have salaries at 66,000, and you also have contractual volunteer fire rescue payment, 80,000. So what's that all about?
Well, let me jump in there for
Sure.
a minute with his.
Yeah.
What page you on, Dick?
Fire
I'm on the
department.
fire department page.
It's like second from the, or third from the back.
My fingers are bleeding from going through so many pages.
Oh, you
Which
just
one?
passed
Which
it.
It'll
one?
be all right.
Fire.
We've had some
Yeah,
discussions
next
about that, and what the idea there is what we'd like to do is move Rich to a full-time position, so that's part of that. And what that full-time position would do is cover Monday through Friday, and that would give us at least one person during the day that would be available for calls. And
But you still have to have another one, right? You have to have two?
help me out here.
Yeah, you have to have two to roll on a medical call. I think with these new hires, you can pull that off. They got different schedules, so I wouldn't have all four in one day.
Sure.
They'd be spread out, so that would help us out dramatically.
But there was an ordinance passed a few years back that you now get $20 an hour versus $7.50, is that correct?
You mean per
Yeah.
call, you're saying?
So it's $20 per call, and for each hour after that, it's $20 an hour. So
It used to be
So it's
boils
$20
down to
an
20
hour.
Yeah, it boils down to $20 an hour. But
And at every 15-minute increment past the 2 hours, and it's another $20, correct?
so
If you were 2 hours and 17 minutes, you're gonna get paid for 3 hours. No?
we always, if you're there 2 hours and 15 minutes, it's 2 hours. We don't ever get in. I'm pretty sure last administration chief didn't do it that way. I haven't done that way so far.
Ordinance says by 15 minutes.
Does it?
It doesn't, not to round to the next hour, but to figure it before the
My
Yeah.
By, in
I'm
increments of
almost
20.
positive.
They are.
Wire.
And these in the microwave?
But just to kind of, point out a few things, the mayor there, and I've talked to a few of you, but something to keep in mind, the fire department has been ran with strictly volunteers for over 100 years, 102 years. It's just a different day and age now.
No argument with this at all, I mean, but I don't think you can, my opinion, you can't call this a volunteer fire department if you're making $20 an hour. That's my opinion. And
Why
that's
do
what-
we call it a volunteer?
That's statutory.
Is it?
That's statutory. It's the
I've
difference
always
between.
wondered that.
It's the difference between full-time and there's not really, I don't even think there is a
It's
part-time.
almost like a paid on call.
It is, it's
Yeah.
like
That's why
paid
I
on
wondered,
call.
why don't we
Yeah.
call it part-time, but you can't?
There's
Some of the
different,
departments do call them paid volunteer though, or paid on call or something. I've heard
Because
that
it's kind
term
of a
before.
but it's the
Because
state.
actually, some of the guys get W-2s, right?
We all do.
Everybody.
So you are actually employees
Well,
there.
no, they get 1099s.
Tonight, yeah, we get
Ambulance
W-2s for
gets
the
a W-2.
ambulance.
W-2s for the ambulance, yeah.
For the fire side.
But it's for the state training, there's different training requirements if you're a full-time firefighter versus you're a volunteer.
Okay.
So volunteers are excluded from a lot of, the state requirements.
There's
So-
actually, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, then I was just thinking when he said that, if there's different training, then do you need a full-time chief for employees that have, are you saying it's less training then? I'm assuming if they're part-time, it wouldn't be as much training?
If you have, go ahead.
There's so much training to do. I mean,
Because it seems like you
it's
guys do a
training
lot.
that they mandate volunteer fire departments to do. There is
Yeah.
no way that you can meet those requirements. I mean, there's just no way unless you're down there every night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
It always has seemed like there's a lot of training.
We do. I mean, we train as much as we can. We've increased it some. I mean, everybody's, we can't be down there every night.
Well, yeah,
So,
most people work,
We're
yeah.
doing the most we can, and, the summertime, we try to bump that before we do stuff outside, so.
But for instance, like the volunteers, like if you're a full-time firefighter, you have to go meet the state fitness where
Yeah.
the volunteers are. So things like that,
Mhm.
the volunteers are certain things that they'd be exempt from. So I think it's just a statutory definition.
Okay.
So
Is there-
but as far as the monetary, yes, it is, I don't wanna say misleading, but
What kind of salary are you talking about?
It's right there, 60.
I'm talking,
Yes, not intentional.
so the 66 there, I'm talking 60 for the chief's salary, and the other 6,000 is for, there's $2,500 for each assistant chief. That's already, it's just an ordinance, it's been that way for several years, and the other 1,000 of that is for our secretary.
Now, that's a salary, so that means that there'll be no more overtime for you whatsoever?
Correct. That'd be just like the regular department heads, you know,
Yeah.
John.
Is there any kind of grants that we can get if you have a full-time position that we don't get now?
Yeah, you know, that's another point I'm gonna hit on. The fire department hasn't applied for a grant in over 6 years. I can't fully answer the question why, but except for it takes a lot of time. They're time consuming, and to try to do one of those while working other jobs, it's tough to sit down during the day and get the information together that you need. So that's one advantage of it, and it can help us in equipment purchases. Or if things come together and we see the fire department and the community growing for more employees, there's grants for that. Vehicles, I hit with the mayor a little bit about 0% interest loans later down the road when we're looking for a fire truck type deal.
Working on fire district,
Yeah.
things of that would bring in more revenue, but
And that's
we
gonna
gotta
that's
have
gonna
the
be a
time.
project.
Yes, we gotta have the time to put into it, yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at what we just got, the salaries year to date were $14,292.87, and you're asking to raise it to 66. So what of this $14,292.87 was you? Do you know?
A lot of it.
So chief's pay is only $4,000 a year.
And I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing. It looks like it's the same. It's 100, 700, 92.70. Okay. And it says 66,000 proposed, and it's 14,292. So that's quite a jump. But
No, we're talking about full-time salary.
right. So
Tiffany will answer.
what of the 14 was you? Do you know? Because you said you get 4,000 as chief.
Yes, and I've
So
only.
would that be in?
No, so there's only 2,000 of that I've got so far, and it's split up into two different
Okay.
times of the year.
David's was paid out when he left. The other,
The two assistant chiefs, that'd been 5,000.
Okay. So 5,000 for each chief, assistant chief.
No, 2,500 per.
Oh, so 5,000 total. Okay.
And then I believe Tiffany might have helped me out with this. I believe Steve Waltrip was paid for his duties.
Because we're down to like 9,000 then left.
oh, I think the rest of that was when I had to reclass Brian Glasscock. Before this happened, before I was here, and I caught it, but it was one of those things that you would never catch unless you were like digging for something. Whoever put him in as the assistant chief, when he became assistant chief, coded his salary to ambulance. And I had to reclass it back to fire. So when that happened, I took it out of the ambulance and put it into there, and I think that's why that ended up so much higher than it should have been. If I'm shooting off the top of my head trying to.
Yeah, because I'm still like 9,000 off because we only have
But
5,000 for the two assistant.
But I want to say his was like 7,500.
Okay.
Because it was like, I had reclassed an amount, I want to say it was 3 years worth or something. Well, that's.
And in a normal year then, you've got the assistant chiefs, you've got a 4,000 for a chief. Is that what David got too?
Yes.
But, so, Rich, you're talking about a salary that's not a stipend for a chief, it's a salary.
So, yeah, that
And
would
then you
be-
wouldn't be paid hourly either, or not hourly, by call?
I wouldn't get paid by call, and I wouldn't get that $4,000
Okay.
stipend or whatever
Okay.
you want to call it. Yeah. So, and just to kind of maybe help you out a little bit too, part of that salary comes from what I already get, which is the $4,000, and on an average, $8,000 to $9,000 I make on calls per year.
Okay.
So that would go towards that salary.
So that's not under salaries then, is that contractual
contractual.
other? So we're looking at 28,459.87, and then contractual rescue would just be for the rescue calls, is that?
Yeah, and I asked Tiffany this year if we could, I don't know why that was split up, but one line item for our fire pay, because it's the $80,000.
Okay. Yeah. And so that other is when you guys get paid the once a year, and that's for all your calls together.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Mhm.
Because I remember seeing those on the payables, and they're pretty good sized checks, not for a whole year probably, but
Right.
I wasn't sure where that was coded, but now that makes sense. Because I thought that can't be enough under salary employees, but it's not, because
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, it's just for those four. So.
Something too that, you know, kind of, it bothers me a little bit, is South School is, got hundreds of kids, obviously, grade schoolers. If something were to happen at that school, if they have to evacuate, the meeting place for them to all go to is the firehouse. And if I don't have anybody there, I kind of, you know, it kind of bothers me that we can't get the building ready for them to come in if something were to happen. So I do want to emphasize that a little bit too.
You guys got a key to that? You guys could open it up.
Hell, they're in the same building.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
The fire department.
Is there anything stored in the old fire? You keep vehicles in there or something?
Yeah.
You couldn't get 100 kids in there in an emergency then?
It's not, it doesn't follow the state requirements for
Okay.
evacuation.
One connected to here.
Yeah, the
That's
old.
probably wasn't far enough away.
Thank you. Feed the zoo.
But, you know, I'm not gonna rely on a police officer that, I don't know how to drive a fire truck to pull it out. That's not their responsibility.
You know how to drive a truck, don't you?
I'm not saying you don't, but, you know.
Oh, my system's not pulling up right now, but I'll check on that and see what that is, because that number's
Yeah, I'm
odd
just
to me too.
curious as what the difference is gonna be.
Yeah, I want to tell you.
And I found the others, the ones where the firemen are paid, and then, is there a reason they're separate? Do they have to be kept separate, the contractual other and contractual other rescue?
Actually, Rich asked me that too, and I said the only reason I did that is because that's how it was when I got
Okay.
here. And this year, he was actually wanting to put them all together, because contractual other 9190 is actually what everybody else uses as their catch-all for the contractual that doesn't fall under other categories.
Okay.
So I actually like that on his budget here. If you look, I think it's 9191, isn't it?
9190.
Yeah.
9191, yeah.
Yeah, 9191 will be the entire payment.
So we have 55. Oh, that was the budget amount. We had 39
For the
last
rescue.
year.
Yeah, and
And there was 80 on that.
your rescue was under budget, but you're real close with your fire calls, because we only budgeted 35 and they were at 28.5.
Yeah, and that's hard too. 'Cause
It
they-
is, how do you know?
Yeah.
It's nature, yeah, it's.
Nature of the beast, yeah.
Basically, the fire department has three obligations, right? One's ambulance, one is first responders, and the other one is fighting fires. Is that right?
Yeah.
And what you're looking at is the first responders, correct? That's why you being full-time would 50% satisfy that need. And I'm saying 50% because you still have to have somebody go with you.
Yeah, and like I said, with these 4 new hires, it's gonna help, and we can have those 2 people to go on a call and not have this, I don't have anybody, and I'll tell you, I've responded to a call by myself, because one's better than nothing. So,
Is there a legal liability involved with one showing up? You have to have two?
I don't know, to be honest with you, but my number one concern and job is saving somebody's life, so I'm gonna do it.
And I think we have a little bit of out with that, Dick, because a lot of the firemen over the year, I won't permit an officer to be a fire or EMT. However, with their training, our guys are on scene responding, and sometimes just that guy to take over the CPR is.
This was
So
something.
we do try to cover that, sorry.
This was something, you know, why we were running that I brought up, because, I mean, you know, we don't have that, and how catastrophic it'd be, you know. I mean, we can't rely on Jacksonville to be our second hand every time that we can't get somebody, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we're talking $60,000, but, you know, if it, Everybody that's got full-time jobs, we can't respond to a call and somebody dies, that 60 grand goes out the window pretty quick, so. That's my thoughts, you know, I mean, I was a fan of this before any of this ever came about, you know, a couple months ago, I mean, you know, you knew I said it.
Fan
Of having a full-time,
Full-time.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
and-
obviously,
yeah.
and if it's even under budget, what we had last year, 281,
Yeah, so it's, well, bottom line, 43,000 under from last year.
yeah, so, but,
But we're missing, there's no capital outlay vehicle, so what are your plans, what's your equipment like?
So, we're not in horrible shape right now, but in the next few years, we gotta start looking.
these are also grants that could also help that also.
Exactly.
If we start applying for it, because I can't,
Right, absolutely.
it's something that I feel that we should have done before.
Yeah, so our, you know, our first thing we need to do, look into is replace our rescue truck. It's too big for what we use it for. We run on all our medical calls. It's too big of a truck for day-to-day medical calls. So we can downsize that considerably. That's not going to be a huge cost compared to a $400,000 or $500,000 fire truck. So it would be like a Ford 550 Bobcat truck with a custom box on the back. Basically like Jacksonville Fire Town knows, know what I'm talking about, smaller rescue units. So that would be one of our first priorities in the next year or two. And then an engine in the next 4 to 5 years.
How come you don't run the ambulance on the rescue calls? Instead of running the big truck?
We could,
I mean, that would cut down on your personnel. So how many people you run on an EMS call?
it depends, 3, 4.
experiment?
You know, if I have a new guy,
Whatever it takes
needs
to
some
figure
experience,
out
well,
what
there's a
out of
good
my-
one on there, you know.
Go have one.
Huh?
Get him in, if it's serious,
No.
serious medical call
No.
too, so.
Right.
I know.
I don't
Trust me, I
want to
know.
use that ambulance really more than we have to, just it is a little bit older, but, and there's times that we do, you know, if we're out on multiple calls, that would be our second, rig to respond.
Well, and Rich had called me and we talked about this briefly, because I mean, you said you had thought about it. I've never thought about a full-time chief, just because I was in tune to vehicle replacement. And I made a statement to him that if I'm gonna sign off on hiring an employee, I wanna make sure that's a sustainable hire. I don't want to hire you for 1 year and you've quit your other job, and then we come back next year and we're in bad shape, and you need a truck, and it's your full-time job or a truck, you know, because, and I also want you to have insurance and, you know, get what you deserve for the job. So that's what I'm struggling with, is I wanna make sure if we do it, it's sustainable, that every year we can afford to have a full-time chief. And I don't know that because I can't see in the future.
Well, you have a lot of stuff here thrown at you tonight that you can't analyze this in 10 minutes. I mean,
Yeah,
ain't
yeah.
no way in hell I'm
And I
trying
told
to
him I'm willing to listen to anything because it's all about making things best for the village, but you know, I don't wanna come back to you next year and go, Rich, by the way, we don't have enough and it's a new truck or you know.
That was one thing we talked about
Was
in our
it?
meetings was, we've gotta have sustainability.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of irks me, and I'll be real truthful, but this 66,000 for a salary, were you gonna mention this tonight, or did I find this out and then hit you right between the eyes with it, or what? You know,
Was I gonna
because-
bring it up?
yeah,
Yeah.
We had
okay.
each planned to present all
Yeah,
this, I mean,
That
All
was,
right,
you know,
that's what,
yeah, but we thought that was on the agenda.
Yeah, that's
what we were
kinda,
doing.
I took it too, we're gonna discuss
Yeah.
all this, but, you know, whatever works, but.
We have been a whole lot of different ways so far.
So
I think he
would-
was kind of patiently waiting for his time.
When you add an employee, you got their salary, does that include the benefit package also?
Those are all broken out, you can see, like the insurance will be there.
it
and
does
the-
not include it in the salary.
No,
It's not included in
That's-
salary,
that's
so
the-
it's actually gonna be more than 60
It's gonna be
to add
around
an employee on.
$70,000
Okay.
Right.
for insurance.
Because
And you know, it would be nice, Tiffany, to know, because I remember approving some of the salaries, Tim's and John's and yours, but I couldn't tell you exactly what you guys make now. So it'd be nice to know what other department heads make, if that's, and if you could possibly break down the package, because, I mean, again, that's how my brain works. I like to see the salary, I like to see the package, and that gives us a comparison, because I know we've done a lot of work in the past to try to pay our employees what they deserve and what's comparable. And,
Right.
It's kind of
and so we want that. So we want to make sure that, and if you make another full-time position, you don't want the other department heads to go, wait a minute, you know, is that more than I got, or, you know, because it's all public record, and really, I don't care if Tim likes it or not, but I'm just saying, we need to be as, you know,
And we
transparent as
talked about-
possible.
We talked about that last year too, of looking at those salary caps for all the
Yeah.
department heads.
Yeah.
And if we decided to make this a full-time position, we'd have to redo the ordinance for the chief's position to make that, because it would basically be rewriting that ordinance, because each of the department heads have their own
Yeah.
ordinance.
So Tiffany, would that be is that an odd request to
No, I
ask
can
for
do that, absolutely. I did actually, a salary study, a rate study with other
Oh.
municipalities, and I can give you guys that stuff too. I picked about a dozen around our population, you know, like, there, of course, there's some a little bigger, some a little smaller, but, and you can look at what they're making in those municipalities too, and their benefits. Of those, I think Havana, does have a volunteer fire department, and they have a full-time chief. They were the one I found that did have that.
Sterling, Illinois does too.
Oh, Mount Sterling does? Okay. Is there, I talked to
So
them too.
it's,
Okay,
he's kind of both, he's the chief and the ambulance director.
gotcha.
And they're
Maybe
about the
that's on
same,
there.
I mean, I'm from that area, they're about the same population,
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually under.
Yeah.
They're less than,
Yeah, I talked to them.
they're about 2,800.
Yeah, and Havana's pretty
What
close.
are we,
to that.
34 something and some change?
And that's what's
33,
hard,
34,
yeah,
somewhere in
30.
Yeah.
That's what's hard when you're looking at this too, and when I was doing this, because, like, if we're that size, but then too, like, that's out in the middle of nowhere, you know, like here, you can cross the street and go work for Jacksonville, you know, like, or Springfield's, you know, 20 minutes, so you gotta consider all that kind of stuff too.
Mhm.
But, I don't know, so.
Rich, does Jerseyville have full-time?
Jerseyville?
They'd be the same size.
I think
Size and same
They
taxes.
do.
I was wondering the same thing.
I'm pretty sure they have same size.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there. What do you guys think about, we have another committee meeting on Tuesday, with the possibility of, if we just budget on Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday?
I mean, I'd like to get this done before, I'd like to be able to pass the budget on our board meeting.
I don't think,
You're not available.
Rich,
well, I'm available.
Okay.
when you're talking about the grants, possibility of grants,
That would
just to make it in my mind where it works, so what type of money are you talking about, and grants for what? I'm
So
just
there's
curious.
small equipment grants.
Okay.
you know,
The media has to go out tomorrow. That means I need to type this
It's not a
tonight.
no packet, just an
Okay.
agenda that has just a
Vehicles.
a committee agenda with nothing but budget on it.
Personnel,
Which is the night of the,
looked to venture that way further down the
For Tuesday.
road, like safer grant.
which is the
Okay.
night of the packet.
It
probably would have
a lot of grants out there.
There has to be one out there, especially if if you're looking at buying a new engine, I mean.
There is, and it's actually easier
I
for
can't-
volunteers to get grants than it is for full-time departments to get grants.
Yeah.
Because full-time have a bigger tax base.
So, for grants then, like, I don't know, is it something the board, I mean, I guess we can do whatever we want to do as far as it goes, but is it reasonable for, if you say that's a main part of your job, do we say a dollar amount, or we want to see this many grants, or, I mean, I don't know how we validate that. Yeah, and I don't know.
They could turn you down for 5 out of the 10.
Exactly.
Right.
So I don't know if we even take that, I'm just throwing that out there. Because if I have a resident ask me, why would we need a full-time fire chief? And I reply, grants, and a year goes by and we don't get any, whether they're turned down or not.
I'm not saying the sole reason is grants, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of other valid reasons.
But that
I'm
seems
not-
like a really
No,
reasonable
no,
reason.
That's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
There's much more to it than that.
I'll tell
Here's
you-
my suggestion
I have
on
one for
grants. Get a grant writer, because you can add that into your grant.
Yeah, And I've got some, I've talked to some people.
And they know how to dot the i's, cross the t's.
Right.
Hey, you just tell them
One thing too,
well they
here-
like their spouse in their dwellings.
There you go. Yeah,
Maybe just the 12.
that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
do all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have cut at you either, honey.
Our fire department's always been kind of just, I mean, at least in my experience since I've been here, they've kind of just been on their own, you know, like, we, as department heads, I mean, we all communicate pretty much daily basis, honestly, and make it all work together. But what I've noticed, I mean, and I'm sure, I don't know if everybody else does too, but, they've just kind of been doing their own thing. Nobody's known a lot about it. Like,
I
look
think
at
a
this
lot of
fund
this was
that.
because of Hickox.
But you know, I mean, I'm not saying who did what, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
but
they-
I mean,
that-
Hickox,
that
when I
fund
was there, he
and
never even,
everything.
he wouldn't even come to the meetings, so.
And now, you know, I think that would probably even help us, you know, make them really
A part of it.
more cohesive, a more cohesive village, you know. And I don't know.
I'm not trying to sell this to the board, because obviously you guys have a lot
Yeah.
of things to consider, but I can tell you from the police standpoint, the phone calls and the people coming to the doors and so on that we field on a daily basis, we love Mondays. Mondays are our favorite days because Rich lives for 12 hours at the fire department, and we don't care, we don't have to answer any of his phones, we don't care what goes on over there. It's nice, and I think there is a ton of opportunities for grants and stuff, just like there was in the police department. Todd, you're 100% right. You know, I've said it before in Ashland, that's what we did. We hired a grant writer. They know how to do it. You're almost assured to get
Well,
it.
and they know when these grants are released, and, you know, they're on it, you know.
That's half the job, is keeping.
Exactly,
Right, when
you
they're
gotta be
released.
the first one in there to get it. If not, you're left out.
So really, truly not trying to sell it to the board. I look back over the 17 years that I've been here, a lot of the department has been here longer, and I see that the community's grown and grown and grown, and in some aspects, we just haven't supported that growth, you know, from the amount of people that work for John to the fact that we're still a volunteer fire department. It's a struggle for you guys. I know you're trying to come into today's times with equipment and everything else, but yet still staying on budget. This is a pretty huge thing in the fire department.
Are you talking about any secretary? Did you mention a secretary or somebody to answer the phones, or you'd be answering the phone?
No, I'd be answering the
You'd be
He
answering.
mentioned the secretary position, that's one of the 3 salary
Oh,
positions.
like Steve's. Gotcha, because I heard secretary and,
Well, I think they said that was $1,000
Yeah.
or something.
and you're 43 under adding the salaries, but this is not any kind of vehicle. So I just, like I said.
Chief's car?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that when a vehicle needs to be replaced, we still can afford. We might be 43 under the way this looks, but what about when it comes a year? Because you just got a new fire truck 2-3 years ago. But there's, the ambulance isn't, I mean, now that's a different department, but that needs to be replaced. And you were talking about your rescue. So I'm just curious, have you thought about, I'm guessing you have,
Yeah,
thought about,
I think it'll be doable, like I said, with grants, and, you know, I talked to the mayor about this. You know, if we go look to buy a fire truck, I know you guys have different ways and how you wanna do things, but, like a fire truck, you get a 0% interest-free loan for 20 years, you're talking $20,000 a year for that fire truck payment, as opposed to dropping $400,000 or $500,000 like that in 1 year, so it's spread out. So, and like he said, you know,
I like 0%.
in 20 years, like a police car, you're gonna get some money out of it. In 20 years, fire truck,
I could get much of
we
it.
learned what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
We tell Marlboro
Where's
Brothers
this
they're cutting better
43,000
deals.
coming from?
He said he's 43 under
43 under what?
Last year.
Bottom line,
last year's budget.
Yeah,
Is
last
that
year,
what you're saying?
Last year's budget. Okay, sorry, I kept
Yeah,
looking
last
at
year
it,
was
I'm thinking it
281.
Okay. No, that was the actual.
that's, yeah.
So it's, okay.
or the actual, I'm sorry, yeah.
You're going off budget. Okay.
I have a question. Did you say you were gonna do Tuesday just while I have this out? Are you doing something Tuesday for just budget?
Let me see.
Please, restroom. You guys can decide.
Better not be smoking. If you are, I'm going.
Just go out there.
I know, but I don't wanna miss
Prop the
anything.
door open and puff.
I don't wanna miss anything.
We
We can pass it, yeah, let's pass it so we can smoke in here. I was kidding, Dick.
Unless you wanna, right?
That's why I gobble those lifesavers up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, now you see, I got gum chewing like a squirrel.
If you can do it.
I thought I just had halitosis or something.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tim, man, you got a big budget.
Man,
Uh-oh.
I'm lower than I was last year.
We're gonna cut you in half. How's that sound?
Me personally.
Yes, yes. We need some of your salary
So
for.
you said on the budget, it needs to be done before July, correct?
Legally,
Legally.
you have to have, appropriations passed by July, yeah.
State of Illinois ran 4 years without a budget.
I got, yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
They give you till the end of your first quarter, end of your fiscal year, so, yeah.
And she was just saying, Jason, that it's tough, you know, from this perspective to pass, for you guys to say, okay, we've cleaned these budgets up, we're passing those, oh, and we're passing appropriations, because then it doesn't give citizens the opportunity
Right.
to come to you and say, what are you doing hiring a full-time? It doesn't give you that chance before the appropriation to make any adjustments.
I get it.
And I appreciate that this is all like thrown at you tonight, but like, there is mega work and hours behind this, you know what I mean, like, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just, and this, the work isn't done here after you pass the budget, because I still have to go to appropriations too. So, I need to know, I need the budget numbers to get the
So-
appropriation numbers.
Realistically, how soon could we talk about a budget instead of waiting till May?
That would be up
Says
to you.
May.
No, I mean till,
She's
for
talking about
next
next
year.
year.
It would be up to you. The neat thing about waiting until May is that you use real numbers from your fiscal year. You know, because then you've got all your numbers.
It is the 4th.
We certainly wouldn't have to. You'd just guess more if you didn't. You know what I mean? But you could.
But you could start a month earlier and be pretty safe.
Yeah, you just wouldn't have your actual numbers. Yeah.
Or we could just have more meetings in a month. I mean, I know that's tough, but.
Yeah, I,
Well, this is the best thing you've come up with tonight.
yeah, I like this a lot.
Because this
I
shows
love
you
this.
what
This is what I give the department heads every month, and this is what I analyze every month.
That's
to
what
see
I need
we're
to
doing,
compare
and-
with this.
Yeah.
Cause this doesn't help me. You know what they mean. I'm seeing them for the first time and that doesn't help me at all. Cause I don't know what what we've had to date.
But see what I mean, where this is what I was hoping you'd like this, because that year-to-date number is a lot more beneficial to you really than what you budgeted last year, because,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, we definitely have to have another meeting where John is here. Or do what you said and.
What's it worth to you?
Stands for salaries already.
I know.
You know where I live, mailbox is right there, just drop the cash in there.
We put a lot of money there. I mean, that's,
Tim, go on a rundown of your employees. How many part-time, how many full-time? Do you mind?
No, I don't mind at all.
I'd love to
So,
have an update.
5 full-time,
Okay,
plus myself.
okay.
Is that right?
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
It's 6. Yeah, 6 plus myself.
6
We did,
full-time.
yeah.
Okay.
6 including yourself?
Yeah.
I've never liked.
And then yourself, so it's 7?
7, yeah.
Okay,
I don't even like mint toothpaste.
okay.
2 part-time were obviously slated for
You get the
6
smell,
still.
it was a done go.
Lost some and chosen, we just haven't with the full-time
Okay.
being up to staff. We do have one, the one female we have that'll be out on maternity leave here in the next 45 days, so we'll have to move some things around to cover that shift. 2 part-time people. What else did you ask?
I didn't, but you had asked a question about their, hours on and off.
Yeah, how many officers do you have on
No.
during the day or in at night? Is it always a certain allotted amount?
So our goal is to, Jason, when I came in, we were struggling to cover 24 hours period.
Right.
Now we're to the point where our officers work 84 hours in a pay period. They have 2 on, 3 off, 3 on, 2 off. And that goes through that, and that's
Okay, I see what
contractual,
you're saying.
that's union contractual. So, our goal is to have 2 officers on every night. It just totally depends on how that falls. The only reason that we wouldn't is if vacation, something like that.
Sure.
But also K-9 affects that a little bit because he's on a completely different schedule than anybody else. In order to keep him in platoon A and B, we had to create another shift or another platoon to where he crosses both of those categories. So he's not always working with a specific officer or a specific time.
Right, okay. The only reason I ask is when I sit on my porch and smoke, you know, I see 2 go by and then I see the canine go by and I'm like, God damn, how many, you know, and it may be between shift change, cause you're talking, I'm sitting out there at 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
So-
that's what it is, but there is a time where there could be 3 units
Right.
on. If K-9 is gonna overlap, somebody will be falling off right after that time, but yeah, there's times where in the afternoon, drive time, there's 3 officers on.
Okay.
Very limited time. The nice thing with Mike Brodus actually is being a supervisor, we got to pull him, he's still under the union contract, but because he took that supervisor position, you guys gave him a raise, 2 years ago, his schedule is not set anymore by union contract, so he's not a 6A to 6P or 6P to 6A, whatever he's assigned. His schedule is different every single week.
Please tell him to keep his head on the swivel, because every time I wave at that man, he is.
That's good.
I hate waving at somebody and
That's
then
true.
they just drive by and don't even do anything. It irks me. Speaking of, so we better wave next time I see you.
That's a small town in there, when you.
Okay, I come from Rushville, so
I
that, yeah,
know,
because
but-
everybody waves, you know.
You just
So when I
walk
wave at
down.
somebody that wave, I'm like, oh,
So are we looking at Tuesday night then, or what?
why are you looking at
For the
me?
budgets, or what? Or not?
I think
That's
that
fine
sounds
with
good.
me.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm available.
At what time?
6 o'clock?
6?
It's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, you do it.
Why, what's Tuesday?
I'm going to that seminar at Illinois Municipal League for the newly elected officials.
Call it
That's
sick,
good.
bro.
I think if that's out about 4:30.
It won't be bad. It's not bad. It's enjoyable. So you guys want to take this stuff home and
Yeah.
and we'll go over this more and come back on Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So, any old business?
Yeah. These, I put in your emails in the package this year, but then we got to the bottom of that. So I got a bunch of, Dana gave me a bunch of economic interest forms. Because normally that comes in the packet, but then they're gonna get away from that, so I'll keep extras. I put them in each one of your mailboxes, and I know that some are like, why do we have to fill this out? They just tell us we have to every
you do,
year.
that's
Yeah,
all
we
it
have
is.
to fill it out, and you usually put
And all of
NA.
it's NA, and you have to
Did
get
you find
something.
mine? I put it in your mailbox.
Yeah, so either you can fill them out and put them in my box, I'll take them for you. You can mail them to Jill, or take them up to Jill Wagner's office yourself, but
You don't mind taking them, I'd love to have you take it.
No problem.
If you're going anyway, if not,
I
I
just
can.
have
The
the ones
reason
that
behind
need
that
to-
is that that's your public declaration if you do have any business that does business with the village.
And it has to be fresh each year for every trustee and department head.
Because it's not,
So I put it in your mailbox, and I know some probably didn't even know that you even have a mailbox or whatever, but there's one in here, and it has your name, and people will put stuff in it, and I put yours in there.
Get the cooler by the week.
I'll put a pack of cigarettes in yours.
Thank you.
For some
And some
Nicorette.
anything on the new business?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, did you have
and
something
I
else?
forgot that I promised Rick, I told him I didn't know he had something, but I did tell, I saw Rick Rolson, and he said he'd be more than happy if we wanted him to come up with something for that, he could throw something our way. Because he did his billboard
I don't know why
at the
not,
same
if we're gonna
place.
wait on something to be
Yeah.
changed on
He
that.
said
why
someone
not?
would need to contact him. I said, I have no idea what you want on it. So he said to give his cell phone out, so I will send it to you and in your emails or something.
Yeah, I got Rick's
Well,
number.
he does billboards too.
He
Well,
said he
maybe
did his
Greg
own
should do
because
it. Do you
do
mind
anything.
doing it? Because you already have access to that,
Where's his bill?
Sure.
to know what needs to be
he had a
included.
billboard,
Yeah,
I guess,
sure.
on Morton. And
I don't mind mind talking to him,
You
but
want
I
me to do it?
wouldn't know what to
I'm a
tell
personal
him.
friend of Rick.
That's fine too.
Or you can do
You
it.
want me to do this and take that?
Yeah,
Hey, Tiff.
I wrote it down.
You want to take a picture of it with your phone?
I'm not seeing
You know, sure.
It's getting late,
tourism or
ladies and gentlemen.
TIF. Can I
Huh? Oh.
see those from, am I missing it?
Maybe I didn't.
I've got a new business item,
Yes.
and earlier this afternoon, Matt Martin was here with Stephanie and me. We sat down talking about redesigning the village.
You mean
website.
Tiffany?
Tiffany, I'm sorry.
It is getting late.
It's your evil twin, Stephanie.
What do you call you?
Stephanie.
Wait a minute, she's the evil one?
Sounds like a
Do it, Matt Martin. Let's go.
Sounds like a mistress.
We're almost done.
You were meeting with Stephanie, huh?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Start again, John.
Matt Martin, our village IT guy, was
Yeah.
here. One of my points that I've stressed leading up to the election is web redesign. Village
Yes.
website is terribly antiquated.
Yes.
Sucks.
Yes.
There's a
And,
lot
he's
of
put forth a good
bad-
proposal. He's
bad
got
information on there.
He's
Old
got
information.
plenty of experience doing this,
Uh-huh.
and discussed some of the things I'd like to see on it. No problem. He would come in around $3,500.
To do what?
To completely redesign our village website.
Tell him, Dick, where's he at?
Didn't
Is he
your
in
son
the crowd?
come?
He's not here, but
No.
Mr. Barton.
Who takes care
This
of
is a
that?
much needed.
Nobody.
Nobody. We don't have anybody to maintain it.
When we've only had the one talk about it, which was your
I will
He was
say,
there
with
last
this
summer,
with
yeah.
Matt, one thing I would really ask this board, I don't think anybody's intention is ever to be so reactive, but sometimes we are, and that cost gets driven up. I would like us to be more proactive in telling him, here's a list of what we would like, instead of, here's your website, and then, oh wait, we need this and this and this and this and
Right.
this, and stop doing that, and you know what I mean? So,
Right.
that would be
Try to
something.
get the best bang for the buck.
Yes, that I would definitely.
I just like
I
the way
totally
the cities looks. They have a really
I
nice.
agree.
But they spent
City looks-
$40,000,
Yeah.
30,000. But yeah.
Well, we could put that in our long-term
Right.
planning, and that would be tourism, right? As long as you attach something to it.
Well, Matt says that he could make it look pretty much,
He's
you know,
good.
a lot like theirs.
But yeah, I do
for-
like their.
And theirs is user-friendly.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
said
what we
too.
need.
Make it for people that don't know
So is
how
that
to
what,
use it.
can we get the same thing they have for $3,500?
Yeah, yeah,
It's just-
ask him
It's
that.
just smaller.
Yeah, just a little.
We don't know what they pay.
Smaller print.
Or does he do
Smaller
it?
print. When you
Probably
open it
did
up.
it.
it's
Your
just
reading glasses out.
Right, he'll go, no, because I'm the one that does theirs.
He lives here in town and he cuts us a good deal
Yeah.
for,
He's good.
we were billing him out more than what he cut us for the monthly, IT contract, so.
And honestly, I mean, I'm sure Tim and Rich would agree, like, I've not ever had a problem getting a hold of him. I mean, you need something, he's on it, so.
What's his name?
Matt Martin.
Matt Martin
Yeah,
lives on Melrose.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Next door to you.
Really?
He's
Yeah,
your
he's
next
on
door
your-
neighbor, Greg.
He's on your street.
Wow, bud.
He's got the swimming
Need to
pool.
get out
The one with the
Yeah.
truck that says Martin on his license plate.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is he really next door to you?
Well, he's.
Oh, well, yeah, I get it.
Now you're gonna go look.
Okay, are we
You're
done?
the only neighbor that I really, well, you and Jim Ringle.
Is two
Yeah.
of them?
Like lives
It
next
says
to Burbs.
rescue and it's not.
It says
That guy ever
resident.
go to his
It's
house?
100, 800.
I see
That was
people
how they
my
programmed
way.
it when we
I'm
fixed-
terrible at remembering
when we
names.
moved.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn.
So
Oh,
who-
wait,
Get that, what?
Is that gonna be an action item?
Yes, that's what I was just telling you, I thought you heard me, I'm sorry.
Okay, and we
Yes.
got that in budget. so-
Yes, action item for the website.
But will he talk to us before to get ideas?
Absolutely.
They will
We
come
won't-
in.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
Yes,
We won't
that'll,
sign.
that'll be just to approve the contract, not to approve the website design. Does that make sense?
Matt works usually on a not to exceed amount. He did tell us 3,500 today. Could we put like a $5,000 cap on it though? I still think that's pretty
I think
reasonable.
3,500 seems awfully low.
Low.
I do too, I agree, like, but just to, and then if, I think Matt can really do it. I mean, he's come in pretty much with everything else he's done for
My
us.
son does this sort of thing. He thought 3,000 would be a decent price for it. So
So maybe 5 would
If we do up to 5, not to go over,
give
not
us
to
all the
exceed
bells and
5,
whistles.
and then we'll go over the
Large
design after
print.
we approve
Yeah.
the amount.
We want the full
Is
money.
there a line item in your budget for
It's,
that?
I've got an administration, I put it under
Okay.
the contractual.
So it's
level.
budgeted?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got it in
Okay,
there.
okay.
So you already factored that in?
Yeah, it's in there.
Greg was your motion.
Second.
Wait. Man.
Griefs.
Sorry. I just want to keep everyone informed. July 8th is the week of our audit, so Suzanne will be in. Mike was Mid-America, now is Lamar. This billboard out of Bartlett emailed me and said that South Jacksonville should make a vinyl to install when the site is dead, because he's noticed that we don't advertise anything, or somewhere it's out of date. They can reinstall it. I had no idea they could do that. They could pull it down whenever, you know.
You can?
This Lamar.
Oh, just the
advertising.
generic thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
I didn't
that.
know they could do that. They can reuse it and stick it back up. So you guys think about what you would like as a generic, you know what I mean? Like
For what now?
For the billboard out by
ones-
Bartlett of ours.
Bartlett and Quick and
Oh,
Easy.
right out front? Yeah.
Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
they would have told us that 2 years ago.
I know. So let's think about that, because yeah, I had no idea you could reinstall them, which you can. So, and I assume, fingers crossed, that nobody has any financial interest in our TIF district, since you all just voted for that last month, right? Nobody knew, right? Nobody knew. Okay. If you did, we were gonna have you fill out forms, but okay.
I don't want any
That's
more numbers in my head. No.
all. Sorry.
I gotta deal with too many numbers.
You may be in the TIF district.
I don't think you are.
What are you talking about?
Does it end? Is it? Doesn't it wind right up past Vandalia and around in here?
He would be up in here.
Do I need to make my car shop a commercial business, sir?
Can we get an agreement?
You're learning.
Anything else?
I didn't look at that. I didn't
All right,
figure it came
thanks.
that far.
You're hooked.
A second.
Second!
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign.
Cigarette.
See you on Tuesday.